doing? Friday night. I've been saying it every week recently, but where the hell has the week gone? I am so behind on where I want to be. How are you all doing? All doing well? Hopefully, plenty of people got some nice plans lined up for the weekend. It's Mr. Old World time. Evening, Remy. Mic sounds a bit off. Let me just double check. Hello, Dan.
Test, test, test. How does it sound now? Should be fine. I'm not sure if it was coming through the right microphone, but it definitely should be now. In fact, what I can do is I can just double check on my side, can't I? Do-do-do-do. Sounds good. Yeah, that sounds how it should do. Perfect. Buttery smooth. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Howdy ho, howdy ho. We've got some interesting lists this evening. Obviously, in the run up to the FAQ, people have gone a little stir crazy. I've definitely gone stir crazy. I've been busy, so the actual time that I've been, what's the word? Like, the time that I've had to unwind has been later and later in the day, which means that I was up at 2 a.m. on Thursday morning acting unwise, if you know what I mean. And by acting unwise, I mean buying very old limited edition models on eBay. So I'm full of enthusiasm to do something. I want to do a new project, but obviously in theory, we're within touching distance of the FAQ. It should hopefully be coming this month if the rumors are true. So I don't really want to start now, but I did pick up the 2007 30th commemorative White Dwarf model, the one which is Bugman and what's his face, Gore-Tex. I was going to call him Gore-Tex, the Slayer that's also a coat, holding up the White Dwarf on a shield, because I think that model's just sick. And I'd love to do dwarves, and that's a really nice model that I'd like to build around theoretically. It'll be interesting to see what comes up. Hopefully the whole game turns on its head and suddenly infantry are really good, and then my desire to play dwarves shall be sated, because I can just bring loads of actual dwarves, which would be nice. But we'll have to see. We will have to see. If you're here and you haven't already, please give the stream a thumbs up. All of that good stuff. Get it picked up by the algorithm and all that jazz. Infantry supremacy. Hell yeah. Slow to start this evening. Hello, Malkarad. Mark's been building 2,000 point squig. Sorry, that wasn't enough exclamation marks. Squig! Army. Try to send it in the next week. Fix my list. Very nice. What do you think? There was a rumor about Tomb Kings and Wood Elves that never really made sense. I don't know. Maybe it was on the cards. The rumor, if I remember correctly, that rumor was from like 7 months ago or something, right? That's a long time ago when that one popped up. It's definitely possible that it was on the cards. Or it could have just been fake. This is the problem with rumors. And also kind of the joy with rumors. Because you don't know if it's true, it gives you space to speculate. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Could see Tomb Kings versus what else? FOMO battalion box, or maybe it's just battalions. Yeah, I don't know. I really want to. What I want to know more than anything else is what we're getting in terms of starter boxes or battalion boxes, because most of them have been delisted. I don't imagine that they're repackaging them. That doesn't make any sense to me. The game's only been out for 2.5 years. I think the packaging, it feels like it's in line with what they want, with just like modern packaging. Unless they're like, hey, let's go back to the fantasy packaging. But red is Age of Sigmar now. So I don't really know why they'd need to repackage. So yeah. Surely we've got to be got to have some new stuff kicking around somewhere. Surely. But yeah, who can say? Who can say? Speaking of new stuff, I've got some 3D printed, but third and fourth and sixth edition Eurocopters heading my way. I don't know if I'm going to use them. Maybe I'll use them, maybe I won't. If I play dwarves at all, just having some, old classic Eurocopters to chuck out is would be cool. But yeah, hard to say. Hard to say whether I'll stick with them. But they would be fun to build and paint. Plastic Lord on Stag or plastic Warhawks would be nice. A plastic Lord on Stag for sure would be great because there's one that exists in the world that looks terrible and there's nothing else. And it's also a surprisingly hard model to get if you want to build something in plastic. Something that I looked into. There was like a chunk of models that you can go with, and then the sizing on them is a bit weird. But yeah, plastic Warhawks would be cool. I'm less bothered because I don't know how you make Warhawks playable inherently, because they are so squishy. It makes you kind of have to. I don't know. I don't feel like we want punchier Warhawks, but then also like making them tankier thematically doesn't really make sense. I don't know. It doesn't feel like they line up with in a way that works. There we go. We're starting to pick up a little bit now. Starting to pick up. We've got. Hey, Matt. Plastic Scorpions, watch it all burn. Yeah, that'd be a good one. That'd be a good one. I like the Scorpion model. However, it is old. And I think old is an understatement, honestly. So, yeah, that's an interesting one to go with. The Sotec FM, the Sotec FM voice note. Yeah, I could probably play that. Let me see if I can find it in the background. So in the there's a WhatsApp group for Rob's events, which has got plenty of people in there. Let me just see if I can find that. Pip, who is obviously a Lizardman fiend, is posted a like faux shock jock imitation. Whatchamacallit. He typed out like as if it was an audio post, and I was bored, and I had nothing to do at that time. I've been busy in general, I swear, but at that time I was like, I'm just going to kill 20 minutes recording something. I think it was this one. Let me see. Hopefully this comes through. You're now listening to 105.2 Sotec FM, where we play nothing but Skaven Sacrifice, and more Skaven Sacrifice. This ain't your warm blood radio station. Then I'll cut it off before it goes into the copyrighted music, which was also in the background. So hopefully that doesn't get the stream demonetized. It'll cost me all £4 that the stream would have made otherwise. Reported. Skaven players in shambles. So Lizardman players have more options now. Yeah, they do. I have been busy and I haven't had chance to properly like sit down and listen to the video and review it. Ideally, I'd like to put a review out on Sunday, but I haven't actually had chance to form a full opinion on it. My first thought is there's some stuff that I definitely think needs tweaking. I have thoughts about basically how good the magic and bounce spells are, but all of the other changes seem pretty good. Like, first glance, it seems kind of in line with what I'd love to see, as opposed to, the demon one, obviously I was not a fan of, but then the lizard one feels like it's gone back in line with like the dark elf one in terms of the scope of it in my mind. I know I need to properly dig into it because I haven't had time to do so, but I'm looking forward to it. you'd be legit up for doing a Lizardman podcast with Pip. You're telling the wrong person. Tell Pip. I can't organize that for you. Get it on, and you know, I can send you if you want a version of that with no copyright audio in. I can send you that for your intro if you want it. I hope for great weapons on Temple Guard one day. Needs more lizard tones. Yeah, maybe. I don't know that they need. Like, I feel like halberds are like decent enough, given that they're now AP2 on the charge. I know you don't get the charge super frequently, but you can tank and win on like pure output of strength 4 AP1 attacks plus combat res, and then like sturdy defenses, and then follow up and get the halberds. I think halberds are pretty okay with them. I need to put out a video on this. When you say on this, do you mean on the Lizardman document, or do you mean on you and Pip doing a podcast? I feel like one of those two is more in line with what is in my somehow predatory fighters return. Yeah, I looked at that. I was like, huh, that's a weird rule, and then double checked, and it was a previous edition's rule. It's also like the worst version of exploding attacks. Obviously, I've seen like 6s to hit auto wound, 6s to hit generate an additional hit, 6s to hit generating an additional dice rolls. A little bit clunky, but I think it's fine with how fantasy generally rolls less dice. I don't think it's a problem. Even a Paul, yeah, not bad. 2-up save Temple Guards are juicy include. I did notice that. I don't know how I feel on that one. I need to actually sit down and think it through as opposed to just working it out. Crocs 4-up save, Carnosaur weapon skill 4, and that was pretty much it. Hopefully there'll be a video out on Sunday. I'll be working after this stream. I'm working on Saturday, and then I've got probably Sunday like Saturday afternoon to consume the document and form my thoughts on it, and then Sunday morning to record it. So should be out on Sunday. Maybe Sunday afternoon would be ideal. Although my new editing software to get the video in higher quality now means that the upload takes 4 times as long. I might have to go back to just a small upload for the sake of a 2-hour video not taking overnight. 2-up save on ending challenges. Yeah, that's true. You were going to go to a 5th edition tournament this week. That's fair. Cool. I reckon it's a good enough time. It got cancelled due to lack of staff. That's a shame. At least it wasn't lack of interest. Sure, you know. But yeah, sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. All right. We'll get into it. Before we get into it, if you're here and you haven't already, please like the stream. It helps me get picked up by the algorithm. Check out links in the description if you want Warhammer, either plastic from Element or there's 3D prints from Beowulf Miniatures with discount code Close Order No Space for 10% off. Links in the description there. And obviously I do coaching as well. Link down there as well. All right. Okay, let's start off with... I see Alex in chat. Why not? Let's start with Alex's list. So, everyone was writing full essays with their lists today, which is not a problem, but I am going to have to go back and forth into Discord to find all the context. So, Alex's list. This is Renegade Crowns. You're thinking on a slightly different slant on Renegade Clowns, based on the idea, what if templates are sort of okay? The idea is to Word of Pain a target unit before lobbing 4 Doom Bolts and 2 Mortars in the general direction. Interesting. Then Battle Lusting the Cavalry. The General goes in the Knights. The Pistol Wizard goes in the... Realize that if Doom Bolt is any good, Wild Herd would do it better. Yeah, but I mean, like, why are we worried about Wild Herd? We can try and maximize this concept here. Doom Bolt. It doesn't scatter, does it? I need to remind myself how Doom Bolt works. No, it's just hit over the center of the unit, strength 3 AP2. I mean... Hold on. Let me go across to. If I go across to fuck it. Wait, it's fine. It's There's a template calculator. Here we go. This is the one. Apologies, you. Oh no, it crops okay. So let's assume we're going into units of like 6x4. That's a pretty standard size that are 30 mil. Let's start off here. So we're getting 12 partials. So you're looking at 6 hits at strength 3 AP2. So the summoning would do on average 7 strength 4 AP1. And then if we're going 25, you got 12 partial, 4 full. So you're getting like 10 hits. So that is better. But then it's worse into anything that's not a ranked up unit. Mortars are large blast templates, aren't they? It's been a hot minute since I looked at a mortar. 5-inch blast template. So let's say we are in the edition of Death Stars. Let's say you've got like a Beastman unit. You wouldn't be able to debuff the toughness, that's for sure, with the magic resist. But let's just say, for the sake of it, if you get direct hit on a gore brick, you've got 12 full, so that's 23, but they're only going to be wounding on 6s, so you'll kill like 4 gore, and they'll 20 score you. Morning, Hayden. No worries, Mark. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced that the premise works, but you won the last event with 2 of them in your list. That's that. Yeah, obviously busted OP. That does make sense. Is there a way to get more templates in that are good? It's a shame you can't bring. I mean, the way that I would do this, if I wanted to maximize templates, is I'd be playing Chaos Dwarves, but also that's not helpful, because you're trying to make renegade crowns work, as opposed to just making like the best of the best of the best template list, right? It's tough to get the Word of Pain through in practice. Yeah, I don't. Low familiar double power scroll dark magic. I mean, that's about as good as you're going to get it. And then this one's the twin-tailed. There we go. Twin-tailed wand, wizard staff, dark magic. Given that you, I feel like, even though the plan is to do as many templates as possible, you make this outcast wizard a level 3, and you give them demonology, and then you're still casting on a 6 on the dice, but instead of having a doombolt, you have the summoning, and it's also harder to dispel. Like, even if we're leaning into the templates, I think having this outcast wizard that can cast twice, cast at +3, and get like 2 summonings off, ideally a turn. Like, I think that even within the restrictions, I think that makes the list better. And then we go dark magic here, and you've got your melee stuff as well. Yeah. Your intro game included 2 mortars on your opponent's side, and all they managed to do was kill 2 of his own guys. Incredible. Love that. Such a big template. They must have scattered pretty significantly. Mr. Old World just made a Gettysburg Address joke. Here's the thing. I'm moderately cultured. My last actual in-person job, in the first, 3 weeks, I can't remember when it was. I don't remember the joke, but I remember making a joke about something to do with the French Revolution, and my manager telling me that jokes like that weren't going to do well here. Not for the reasons you might expect, in that everyone was really big fans of French me saying I'm cultured and then being unable to pronounce the that word's gone from my brain. French nobles. There we go. That'll do. Apologies. It's been a very long week. Anyway, I got told that jokes like that would just go over people's heads. All right, cool. I'll tone it down. Did anyone see that ludicrous display last night? What was Wenger thinking? Sending Walcott on too early. Hassa Flavor says, imagine a single cannonball does more than a mortar. That is true. That is true. Does Empire not do this better with hell stonks and pigeon bombs? Oh, is the rocket battery actually any good, or is it just terrible? Okay, so it uses a number of 3-inch blast templates. So it's D3 blast templates, and then they all scatter. And they all can misfire. Oh, that's dangerous. But it's strength 3, AP 1. I think I might still prefer mortars. Also the price difference, right? Please no, we don't have a rocket battery. Don't remind us. Rocket battery is, it's not real. The rocket battery can't harm you. Okay, let's just look at the list within the realm of what we have. You do still have the double cannon in there. So I think in the goal of making this more playable, we'll go Demonology, we'll go level 3. Oh, you were level 3 already? Or did you just have spare points? I thought this was level 1. Oh no, I'm just moving things around. I'm a muppet. I've dragged the Outcast Wizards. This one goes level... Hold on, I haven't clicked it. There we go. This one goes level 3 and goes Demonology. There we go. Twin Tails Wand was a staff. Very good stuff there. I think a list that's built around Imagine templates are good is not a Spark Joy strategy in a world where templates bad. I think there is another templates good list, which is going to be looked at later down the line, which is Chaos Dwarf templates. But that's something that we can do. Yeah, but Empire is lame and gauche, while Renegade Crowns are cool and suave. So true. True. Nobody talk about the fact that they're literally the same models. It's all the same. All right. So in terms of the unit, you've gone for the Barded Warhorse with Cackling Blade, Charm Shield, Witch Hunter's Ward. That seems pretty damn reasonable to me. So you've got like the melee beater that's going to be joining the unit of Veteran Free Blades. Are these in... do you need Noble Outlaw? What are we getting from Noble Outlaw? Oh, Witch Hunter's Ward. Okay, that's probably worthwhile. Damn. What a shame. Because I was thinking just put them in a lance. It wouldn't, I guess, make that much difference, but I would have liked to have them in a lance. But yeah, MR2 is really nice. Alright, cool. So then we've gone level 3, level 1 through Brewing of Ruin. Warhorse. Why is this one not on a horse? I think we just put this Outcast Wizard on a horse as well. Even though you're going to be doubling up on your units, I don't really see a reason to have it in a unit. It's not going to get you very much there, in my opinion. Alright, so we're 71 points over. And then here's one of the problems. You're a shooting list that's going to go second pretty consistently with the amount of units you have. Can we par that down a bit? So we've got 2 Hiling Outriders that's super important. They're going to be for the Wizards. Then we've got the Ambushers, that's okay. We've got the Veteran Free Blades that have to deploy, so that's 4. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 3. Then we've got Artillery, that's 4. Then we've got Characters, that's 5. Then you've got 2 units of Cell Swords. 6 and 7. So that's probably as low as we can go in terms of units. Yeah, I don't think we can go any lower than that, realistically. Lance Formation for Cav was a bit pricey. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It makes Battle Lust a little bit better on them, in my opinion, because you can focus them into a smaller footprint. But I guess it's not super important if you haven't got anything else to charge in with them. It just makes them like more maneuverable on the tabletop. They've got better charge arc, not charge arc, sorry, better maneuverability, better wheels and stuff like that. Although good luck actually measuring on the table. You need a tool designed for that. Otherwise, your life becomes difficult. But yeah, otherwise, I think like all of the choices you've made are pretty good. I don't love the premise, but I think the way that you've maximized the premise makes a lot of sense. Even though I've gone a little off piste with the second wizard, I think you've still got what 4 templates, and then you've also just got some stuff that works and is proven to work. Is there anything that we can drop here in terms of? You haven't even got heavy armor; they're just light armor. I'd probably drop the standard of the musician on the unit 14. Keep them cheap and cheerful, because they're a unit that can be run down pretty easily. So if you have this on, this unit's worth 179 points. If you go like this, it's only 119. So when your opponent inevitably goes in and crunches it with some sort of solo monster or whatever, they'll it's less of a loss. Theoretically, the extra combat res from the banner would help, but I think generally just worth unit champion, stall them for a turn, and then accept their death a little bit later on. I need to shave 21 points. It's hard to do, because I don't really want to drop points on anything here. I wonder if it's not pistols. I think it maybe is just short bows here. Like, the pistols are cool, but I think the reality is you're probably just not going to be able to shoot them as much as you want to, so maybe it's just short bows, and you try and run rings around your opponent. You got heavy armor on both of them? Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. And with those points, we'll put the musician back on like that. I think that makes the most sense in terms of, ballistic skill 3 pistols are cool, but a lot of the time it's going to be like two shots each hitting on 6s, which is just not, I think, going to be super useful compared to the less good shots hitting on 5s, but then their main job is just caddying around the wizards, especially now that there's going to be 2 wizards in one of the units as well. Yeah, I think the way that you formatted everything made sense. This unit here, I do like as well, coming on as ambushes. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Was wondering about getting into pistol range. Yeah, I really like the pistols, and I'd love to play around with the pistols. I just haven't got round to doing so. But I think if I'm doing that, it's because I'm trying to go like full in your face. I'm doing as much damage as possible, and I'm probably leaning on like feigned flight, fire and flee, all that good stuff. So I'm going wizards with gats and being more. I feel like you want to keep them more at range because you're trying to hit them with the template weapons. You don't want to be close to templates in case they scatter. That's a thing that's generally going to cause you some issues. Okie dokie. Well, I think we should go on to, we've had a look at one template list, yes. But what about another template list? So let's have a look at Remy's list. Remy said, I missed it in chat. Remy says that you feel personally attacked. Was that when I said that it's another template focused list or something like that? There's not a criticism. I like this idea. It's not the way that I'd build. I think I would go. I still want the Iron Demons as some like chunk, but what have we got here in terms of the list? Going forwards, just for people who are curious, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I will look at lists that fit into list builders. So I've got one that we're going to have to sort of tool around with a little bit in terms of it's the new Renegade Lizards that I will look at, but I think going forwards, anything that's not on a builder, I'm just not going to look at because it's too much like to flick between and get everything in. But I will accept in-good lists specifically for Renegade factions that don't have whatchamacallit, that aren't in Old World Builder. So if you want to put an Old World, I'll put it in the chat, in the channel next time. Empire being less cool. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, screw Empire. Nobody likes Empire. Not even you, Empire player. All right, cool. So we're looking at basically this list is five pieces of artillery. I didn't open up the Dwarf Renegades draft here. Let me just have a quick look. Because I think you can run 4 of the whatchamacallums, 4 of the special slot pieces of artillery, and I wonder if that is better. So here we have, if we have a quick look here, so you can have 0 to 2 Death Shriekers per 1,000 points. So you theoretically could go 4 Death Shriekers. Is 4 Death Shriekers better? Is 4 Death Shriekers better than sticking in the Dreadquakes? Dreadquakes are nice, but they're also really pricey. And I'm not convinced that a Dreadquake with an Ogre loader is... Like, when the Death Shrieker was 130 points base, I think I was a big fan of the Dreadquake Mortar. But now they've gone down 20 points. I wonder if it's just Death Shrieker Rocket Time. Most tournaments cap at 3. Okay, if your local events are capping at 3, then fair enough. So Dreadquakes are still good, I think. I don't think it's in here, but basically they're a large blast strength 4 AP1 armor bane 1 with a central hole of D3 plus 1 damage, I think. So they hit like reasonably hard into units, and you've made them hellbound as well. I wonder if the points spent on Hellbound are worth it here. So Hellbound gives you a reroll once per game on an artillery dice, and it also gives you magical attacks, which is cool. It also gives you fear, which is kind of nice, because you don't then have to fear test against being charged by terror causes. Oh, sorry, you don't have to terror test by being charged by terror causes. So you're in a situation where, even though you have a good leadership, so you probably weren't terroring off the board anyway, dragons don't get to kill 2 pieces of artillery a turn each, because they're not just going to terror one off the board and then redirect into the other. But you've already got a good leadership, so I don't know if I care too much about Hellbound. I feel like you could drop it on the Dreadquake Mortars and not be too upset about it. Evening all. Do I have a link to the builder? It's ingude.com. INGUDE.com. COM. So, you've gone Sorcerer Prophet, level 3 Wizard, Demonology, Meteoric Iron, Talisman of Protection, Mantle of Stone. So you've got 1 T7 beta to fly around. And it's also providing rerolls as well. Then you've got double Demonsmith Sorcerer. Core is as close to 500 points as you can possibly get. Oh no, it's 535 actually. You could shave some points. But the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders are pretty good. Cav Spear, Faint Flight, Short Bows, Unit Champion, Musician, Reserve Move. That's pretty trim. They're 8 as well, so they're less likely to panic, which is good because the leadership is just... Yeah, Hellbounds plus Demonsmith seems like overkill for the rerolls. I think it might be. I don't know that we need... Like, I think keeping it on the Death Shriekers is probably good. Or, actually, let's just start... Like, what happens if we take Hellbound off everyone? I don't think we want to take Hellbound off everyone. I think the rerolls are nice and the magical attacks are nice into some matchups. But where do we stand if we drop them? Just points-wise. And then... How many points are we at? So we've got 180, and then there's 35 points we could drop from core. So we could get to 215, which is not bad. I was hoping to fit an Iron Demon in, but that's a lot of points. What if Demon Smiths had Dark Magic to get to 7 templates? Honestly, I actually think, no meme, Dark Magic is probably better in this list, because you have no bonuses to cast. So the only thing you can do is like dry roll. So you may as well go for the spell that's going to cast on a 7 instead of the one that's going to cast on an 8. So in this very specific circumstance, I actually think Dark Magic probably is better. Good catch, you template-obsessed freak, said with love. Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't feel like it actually frees up much. The unit that you've gone for, the Infernal Guard, is... Great weapons, heavy armor shields. I actually wonder, like, I was initially kind of dismissive of the, whatchamacallums, Hellshot not Blunderbuss, the Fireglaive. But now that for 2 points you also get Black Shard armor, so you get +1 to your save, I kind of wonder if it's worth going for Fireglaves over great weapons. Obviously they're worse. But you can either go for the strength 4 hand weapon attacks with a 3-up armor save, or you can go for the halberds with a 4-up armor save, but also you get a stand and shoot as well. And if you're going for a more, like, shooting themed approach, I kind of wonder if it's worth sticking that in instead. A Chorf army with dwarfs in it, madness. I think the dwarves are pretty appealing in the Renegades latest draft doc. It's the same points. I'm gonna just change it over there. Freed enough points for cutthroats. Cutthroats are very good. Cutthroats are very good, but I feel like maybe so. Let's go back to Hellbound on the rocket launchers specifically. Also, since they're the D6 damage ones, it also means if you're playing into something like the Green Knight, that's more likely to one-shot the Green Knight, because you only need to roll a 4 on the D6, so you've got a 50% chance, whereas you need to roll a 5, well, you need to roll a 3 on the D3, so it's a 1 in 3 chance if you're doing it with the large, with the Dreadquakes. So this still leaves us with a chunk of points. I think it probably just is like sneaky gits. Do we want magic missiles? Like, I'm not opposed to a Ruby Ring of Ruin, but they're also probably going to be pretty far back because they don't have, like, you know, protection. Maybe we don't give them a Ruby Ring of Ruin. Castellan for extra attacks. Yeah, like, or a Battle Standard Bearer in there as well. I wouldn't mind. I really like the Castellan. I actually think that the Castellan is my favorite unit in the draft doc. I actually think he's too good in terms of, obviously Val put him up to strength 5. I recommended that you drop him down to T4 because he's only like a hero level character. And this was one of those where it's like, this is my favorite, but I think maybe you should drop it down. And then he didn't. I was like, I'm so sad. Not. My favorite gets to exist in the same space. But yeah, it could be a Castellan. I don't know that that's what the list needs. I feel like it wants Iron Demon / Iron Demons. But you have to drop a lot to get there, is the problem. Maybe if you drop a Dreadquake Mortar and put an Iron Demon in, because that gives you still get to re-roll with the Sorcerer special rule, and it just gives you some like front line to slow stuff down. Do you think if we drop a rocket, we can fit in a fighty guy on Taurus? Yes, not a rocket launcher, but if you, well, okay. So, not like a proper one, but what if you fit in a... Like, what's the cheapest character we could fit in? If we go Despot and we go Great Taurus, okay, we're already over. But what if we went, like, just a really cheap Seneschal, Great Taurus, and then... How many points we got? 55 or 45 points, I should say. Maybe it's literally just great weapon. At that point, I kind of feel like it's not the Seneschal. I feel like it's the Bull Center Torok. I feel like the Torok fits in pretty nicely. Yeah, I actually quite like a Torok to defend the backlines. 360-degree line of sight. You've got the impact hits. You can get up to that 2-up save. I think you just default 2-up save. Like, Bull Center. Torok. Armored Hide 1. Heavy armor. So that's 4. Shield for 3. Blast Shot armor 2. Yep. I was like, I swear it's default 2-up save. And then you could just literally go... Great weapon, and I'd maybe be tempted to go. Is it the Ironhide Talisman? Is that the name of it? No, it's the other one. Icon of Fortitude. Like Icon of Fortitude and Charm Shield, I think is a pretty solid setup. You're protected against cannons because you're immune to multiple wounds, so you don't need a consistent ward save. You've got a 5-up ward save because you're buying a shield anyway, so why not just go for plus 2 points over the 3-point shield, but you're like really, really solid at defending the back line there. Iron Demons don't have templates. That's true. You love the Torax, you make you want a Chorf list. Yeah, 100%. I actually think the Torak adds a lot there. I really do like that. And then the question comes with, what do we do with the last few points? It might be Ruby Ring of Ruin, or it might just be give one of the Dreadquake Mortars Hellbound. What if we drop one of the Demon Smiths, and then we go... Because you only... no, you probably do. Like, this much artillery, you do want a second one. Yeah, okay. I'm just playing around with numbers here. What if we go for a third Death Shrieker? How many points have we got? We've got 100 points for the Dreadquake Mortar. And we haven't lost much. We have lost some, but we haven't lost that much. What do we fit in here with 100 points? Chorfs are just so hard to fit into 2,000 points. They really, really like being at a higher points level. I think it's probably just go back to this and then give one of them Hellbound. And then we've got 10 points remaining. Which is Naphtha Bombs. I don't mind a Naphtha Bombs now, because you can march and shoot them. Nope, that's not true. What am I thinking? I swear there was a... Oh, they are. It's just because the updated profile's not in there. Yeah, I quite like being able to still march my dragon and then have a ranged attack at the end. Like, otherwise I'm probably not using it. And also the stand and shoot is just not awful to think about there. Yeah. All right. Let's... I haven't actually tried to share one of these lists before. Did you just... No, it must be a link, right? How do we export this? Under the share button? You know what? I could just do it plain text. I don't need the link. Boom. There we go. There we go. That looks decent, I think. Looks decent there. Cool, cool, cool. Well, we can go back to the previous. And, yeah, let's have a look at something else. I'm going to start off with, let's have a palette cleanser. Because we've had a look at two very silly lists that's just war machines. So let's look at something that's not war machines to change the pace. And then we'll come back to some other bits and pieces. I'm going to have a look at Dave. Are you in the chat, Dave? Hams fan. This is a slow grow, 500 points. We have to keep the same general, but can promote them and switch items. So nobles can upgrade to prince, mage to archmage, etc. Supposed to be fluffy, but I truly have no clue with high elves, so I've picked what seems to be a good core to start the army off, but I've no idea if it's dreadful or as magnificent as the gates of Lothern. I just don't want a no fun for me or no fun for them situation. Am I better with... Hey, there you are. Are you better with a mage or a noble? Bolt throw a big bird. Reavers seem like they'll just be expensive. Do nothing and die, but I feel like I'll miss cavalry. That is correct. Reavers will do nothing, be expensive, and die. So, I know you didn't say it wasn't silly. Well, I don't think it's necessarily silly. What I think you should do is you should book in an hour, because you've got loads of time. You've got plenty of hours. And what we could do is we could do a session where we work backwards from the 2,000 points that you want to play and then split it into 500 points and make it approachable. But I think just to look at it from sort of like the perspective of where do we start at 500 points without considering the 2,000 points, other than sort of the characters, I think Noble makes the most sense. Like, I feel like you're probably going to want to have a prince or a noble or something like that. Obviously, High Elves' strength comes from their ridden monsters. It's hard to do much without ridden monsters. The scale of the, the Escalation League may be flexible, but even if you just end up with, like, a prince on a sun dragon, which is barely even a dragon, that'll be something to build around and have, like, a direct point of power. And it's also a centerpiece model to build and paint. So that's nice to have. So, you've got a noble who has Ring of Fury, Lawmaster's Cloak, Pure of Heart. That's because it's 25%. I was wondering why you hadn't given them full plate. Okay. I feel like elves are pretty sad at low points levels. That's the main thing that I'm taking away from looking at this. I'm like, man, I don't know what I'd put in instead, but like it's not sparking joy. I think the noble's fine. I'm not sure I'd go Ring of Fury. Like it is good, don't get me wrong, but you could instead go something like Lawmaster and oh, did you not have a weapon? You do want a big fancy model down the road. There we go. There we go. So like you could go Lawmaster with sort of the sword of Heoth, as everyone loves me saying. So Lawmaster gives you level 1 wizard. I think either battle magic or illusion is fine. I'd probably start off with battle magic, so you've got hammer hand there, and then you get the sword for free, and you've got some other good stuff in there as well. Puts you to 135, and we'll take off the Lawmaster's cloak. Hopefully you don't need a 4-up ward save against magic missiles. At 2,000 points, that's a good item, but at 500 points, depending on like the scale of what you're playing, lots of people won't be spamming magic missiles, and if you are playing against someone who's spamming magic missiles, I think with your list that is 3 units of, squishy elves, you probably just lose to them anyway, so maybe not teching into that is, it doesn't feel super worthwhile. I'm going to change the shield over to a charm shield as well, but I don't think we need anything else in terms of items. I think that feels pretty fine. Can points fit Lawmaster and Ring of Fury for double hammer hand. Be careful what you wish for things will awake. For the elves delved too greedily and too deep for their double hammer hand. But yeah, so we've got the level 1 wizard there, probably just going hammer hand, and got your sword there as well. Do some good damage. Then in terms of core units, if you're looking for stuff that's going to be useful at higher points levels, I don't feel like archers are particularly useful right now. Obviously, the game could change on its head, but just like strength 3 AP 0 shooting is generally not the most exciting. Spearmen, I've got more time for. I don't hate the spearmen. I think, especially with Shield Wall at higher points level, they definitely have something that they can bring. Swordmasters as well. Hopefully, the upcoming changes to the game. I genuinely don't know, but like if it made it all infantry score, I'd be so happy. And then a bolt thrower. I feel like bolt throwers are bad, unfortunately. Instead of a bolt thrower, which is just not going to do very much for you, something like a sky cutter, which is a nice centerpiece model, and is also just good at higher points level, would be my recommendation. So they are mobile. They've got some impact hits. They've got some shooting. They're relatively tanky as elf units go. T4 with a 4-up armor save is aggressively fine. It's hard to argue with. I thought both the core were trash, but you've been spoiled by Beastmen. Yeah, I mean, Beastmen have good core. High elves do not have good core. I would be tempted to just go for a bigger unit here and just be like, this is my unit that's going to do stuff. Have the noble with them. And let's give them a musician as well. Do we pay for shield wall? That's great. It's only 10 points per unit, so we may as well. And then just go slightly bigger on the swordmasters. I think I just keep it simple. Something like this. Are you going to struggle into an army that's, quite mobile and that is able to give you the runaround, or stuff that's got magic missile spam? Sure. But if you're like doing a true sort of escalation league where it's going to be just, I bring a handful of infantry models and maybe some cavalry and you do the same, I think this is the sort of list that would work well for you. But I do think if you've got the time, if you're available, book in a coaching session, and we can go through, work out what you want to play at 2,000 points, and then sort of scale it back from there, so you're not finding that you're painting stuff without, any use to it, and you're then going to have to go back and do more stuff to put a list together at 2,000 points that you're happy with. All right, nice little 500-point palette cleanser there. I haven't seen him in a little while, but Logan was in chat. Logan Inc. Was in chat, and they had posted a list about ogres. Let me just scroll up and find the context for this list. You've been watching many of the stream recordings. Finally have a list to ask about for your own. Excellent stuff. Ogres for a 1,500-point doubles tournament. Okay, that's cool. Renegades pack. New Renegades. Sorry, old Renegades, not new Renegades. Not sure what army I'll be teaming up with. You're new to Old World. the more complicated your army gets, the greater the chance of mistakes. That's super fair. You're trying to stretch the Age of Sigmar spearhead box and a couple of extra models, and you've also found some cheap Mournfangs. Okay, yeah, cool. So, Tyrant of Slaughtermaster. Happy to cut any and all Nobblers. Nobblers are great. Nobblers are great in numbers as well, because they don't cause panic in anyone, including other Nobblers, which is a pain in the backside. It's not a problem at all, Logan. Hold on, let me just scroll down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of you. 9 of you put essays in, so it's very much not an individual problem. It's just everyone had lots of context for their lists today. Okay, so the Iron Blast is generally good. It's one of the units that I like more, especially if we're talking old rules. Something that I'm finding increasingly difficult to keep in mind is different levels of, legacy renegades or upgraded renegades. I'll be pleased when everything is wrapped up and hopefully we have a consensus on people putting stuff in. You saw everyone else putting context in. Didn't want to be left out. Okay, so the Tyrant is pretty killy. Tenderizer's the usual. I always forget the name of the Tenderizer and the Thundermace, confused. But yes, yeah, excellent stuff. Let's get rid of a Charm Shield on them because you. Yeah. I'm just gonna say drop the Charm Shield. No, for 5 points. I guess if you catch a cannonball and you fail your lookout, sir, it's worthwhile. That's something. Fireball, level 2 with a great weapon, battle magic, and then you've got a hunter, on foot, ambushes, biting blade, long striders, and then the saber tusks. Okay, I think Mournfangs will do better for you here. If you're in doubles, your doubles partner will probably have an easier time having ambushes come in that don't necessarily have to be super impactful on the battlefield, but come in and harass units or come in and try and deal with baggage trains or stuff like that. But you could go with the Mournfang Cavalry you mentioned, because these things just hit like the beef they are. So, I'd like to go with 4. I feel like at 3,000 points, 4 of them gives you enough wounds that they're definitely going to get there, even through your opponents managing to throw stuff at you. And I'd probably also say, let's go. Have you got Cannibal Totem? You've got Cannibal Totem already. Okay. Yeah. I don't know that you need Monster Hunter Tapestry. Could go Totem of Wrath, but that's very pricey. The Mournfang have Strength 5, AP 1 attacks. We'd get them Strength 5, AP 2. You could just make them a really aggressive unit with the Totem of Wrath. I don't hate that at all. Do not hate that at all. That puts you at 1558. You've got the Tyrant, who is very useful. You've got the Firebelly, who's there to cast Oaken Shield and maybe Arcane Urgency. You've got the Iron Gut Star, you've got the Iron Bluster, you've got the Mournfang Cavalry. You've kind of got all of the hits here. I guess we just make this unit a little bit smaller. If we go down to 7... Fistful of Laurels, Cannibal Totem. Remind myself. Oops. Yes, indeed. Although I do like the Kineta, right? Also, you could maybe do with some magic resist on your unit. Panic or Rally. Oh, yes, it doesn't give you proper BSB, it's just partial BSB. Panic or Rally tests. We are struggling for points. You'd have to drop something else to get there, and I don't really want to drop... this Mournfang Cavalry is going to hit hard. Full Standard 2. No, I think I like the Cannibal Totem on the Gut Star, unless you go... You could go, Monster Hunter Tapestry on there. You know what, maybe that is more useful, because the Tyrant, if they're not getting stomped, and assuming you've got the ward save, can kind of go toe-to-toe with the Dragon, with the absolute just disgusting output you've got. You've got, 6 attacks at Strength 7 with your multiple wounds D3 from the Tenderizer. So you can just, tear chunks out of a Dragon, and then if you're turning off their stomps, and you've got a 5-up armor save and a 5-up ward save to reduce the incoming damage, I can live with that. And then the Mournfang go down to... Oops. click the wrong thing. The Mournfang go to the Cannibal Totem. It's a little bit counterproductive in that you don't, the unit that theoretically is going to be more aggressive pursues less. But you can add the extra d6 from Swift Stride, so you still have a little bit of scope to get through. And also, you've only got a 4-up save on the Mournfang Cavalry, so I think the 5-up regen makes a lot of sense on them. And that puts us at 502 points, and then we will just drop something. Honestly, I wouldn't even go with the Trappers. I just go with the regular Noblars. They're so cheap. You very much... There we go. Like, obviously, it's more models. Oh, it's more models, isn't it? So that might be too many, because I'm sure you don't get 60 Noblars in the Spearhead box. Just gonna have to double check what exactly it is you do get. Don't look. Don't look. I'm not going to the Edge of Sigmar section. I swear. I swear. This one. Yeah, okay, that's too many Noblars. Too many men. Too many men. So we'll just go back to the Trappers. The Trappers are fine. They're okay. I know that's super reasonable. Being trying to keep it to a reasonable budget. There's nothing wrong with that. Need to drop a musician somewhere. I think the musician I would drop would be... We'll drop the Charm Shield. It's probably fine. You're going to look out, sir. You're going to be in combat. You're going to be using the Tenderizer. You're just not going to have it to hand. So, yeah. All right, cool. There we go. That was pretty easy. Again, I think the list was pretty solid. And since you've got the opportunity to chuck the Mournfang in, go for that. They're pretty solid. Alrighty then. What else should we have a look at next? You know what? That was a really easy one. So I think I should look at something that's going to make me want to sort of tear my hair out just a little bit. Just a little bit. And that's not to say that's a criticism of the list building ability of the person who submitted it, but it's the faction they chose. So I'm going to look at Big Team Cream's Seaguard. Famously, I have ragged on Seaguard since they came out, like a year and a half ago, or whatever it's been. So it's probably been 18 months of me ragging on Seaguard, and then the last 2 weeks of me going, actually, you know what, Seaguard, maybe there's something a little bit there, specifically for teams, not for singles. But Big Team Cream has submitted a list, and this is a 2,300 point pseudo square base comp event. So instead of getting plus 200 points per tier, they get 100 points per tier. So it's still, you get a bit more. It's just you don't get quite as much more. And the Burbs and Flying Ships with AP1 Armor Bane 2 brick don't know what to do with the Wizards. That is fair. So, what have we got available to us? Shadow Warriors with Ring of Fury. That's a choice. That is a choice. I guess it means that you can charge in on the turn after you come in and try and win combat, but I'm not sold that that is their strength. Because it's like, okay. Sea Gods sound cool. Moim and Joy. Moim are unfortunately the worst thing about that. Flamespire Phoenixes. I am not a Phoenix enjoyer, that's for sure. Okay. I think you've got 300 points here, and you've got 340 points of Phoenixes here. I'm just going to drop the Phoenixes immediately. We're going to replace them with other character points here, and we'll come back to that. I also don't know that I love the Shadow Warriors having Ring of Fury or being so big, honestly. Maybe you go... it's also apparently 0-1 per army, not 0-1... Oh, yes, of course. One of them's for free. One of them's on here as well. Ignore me entirely. I think I don't love the bolt throwers, but I also don't hate it in this army because you have such a poor damage spread, right? So you need to find damage somewhere. So the kind of mediocre bolt throwers is maybe something to do. I'd also be tempted to look at actual bolt throwers in Seaguard specifically, just to try and get anything out of there. I also don't think I'd go double wizard here. I don't think this second wizard's really doing much of anything, so we're just going to free up those points immediately. So, a Shy of S. I do like a Shy of S. And then I think let's for the sake of it, let's drop the Rings of Fury. Ring of Fury. Maybe I'm wrong with this. I just don't see it as fulfilling much of a job. And then you probably drop them down to like an 8 here, an 8 here. I wouldn't. Let's go. You know what? This is slightly odd. Maybe we'll go an 8 and a 12, and then if you need a second scoring unit, you can have the unit of 12 that's able to multitask instead of just being an ambushing unit. Okay. Skycutter's good. Elementalism caster, you don't have a reroll. I think it's pretty important to go double power scroll here, honestly. Because elementalism is high casting value spells, and you have pretty poor consistency of getting those spells off. So we're going to go double power scroll. And then we've got Vess. We've lost the Ruby Ring of Ruin, and I don't know how to fit it back in, but I'm also not super bothered about it. Always put musicians on your units. Always, always, always. Apart from the times you don't. But just assume that the correct answer is yes. Let's just bulk this up to... There we go. Razor Standard is mathematically wrong. Monster Hunter Tapestry is good. The reason Razor Standard is bad is it's only 6s to get Armor Bane 2. You're getting AP1 on Shy of S, so that AP1 is where the value's coming in, and you're not getting enough 6s to wound. Like, if you think about it in terms of, let's say you're volley firing 31 of them, how would that work out? Let's say you're 7 wide, 7, 14, 28, 31. Yeah, that works. So you've got... We'll just assume, like, I won't even calculate a Shy of S. We'll just do the unit. So you've got 7 in the front rank, and then you've got 4 times... Wait, 4, 4, 4, and then 2. So that's 8, 12, 14, 21. So you've got 21 shots, assuming that you're at long range. So that's the only penalty. You're at -1 penalty overall. You're hitting on 4s, so this works for stand and shoot as well. Hitting on 4s, so you're down to 10.5 hits, and then you wound on, whatever, but your 6s to wound, you're going to get like just under 2 6s to wound. So for a 40-point banner, you're getting the equivalent of, 1.6 or 1.8 wounds worth every time you shoot. Maybe we need to have a whole podcast on how Razor Standards are bad items to take. Yeah, there's just not enough volume for 6s to wound to be worthwhile. The actual value you get from it, just instead of taking a 40-point banner, if you just take another 3 Seaguard, I bet mathematically into most targets that would be better. Into like specifically dragons, where you're wounding on 6s anyway, and they have a 4-up save or better, I think the Razor Standard comes out on top. But if you're shooting the Seaguard into dragons, Lord have mercy. I mean, you haven't really got any other plan with this list, but I just don't see it as being a compelling way to play the list. Anyway, we'll go up to 33 for now, and then we will work out what we're doing. Why have we got so... Oh, no, we've got 500 points. Okay, so character-wise, I have been impressed by the setup that I saw from Dave. So let's just go... We'll go Noble, Great Weapon, Full Plate, and we'll go... Not Great Eagle, Griffin, Pure of Heart, and we'll give them the Talisman of Protection. You haven't used it already, have you? No. What's this dragon got? Yeah, that's fine. And then we go Seed of Rebirth. And then we go Great Weapon, Shield, Bish Bash Bosh. What about Fury on Caned Cold One unit? What about... Wait, hold on. What about on a Fury of Caned Cold One unit, pretending Totem of Wrath doesn't exist? Oh, okay. You're also pretending that the Banner of Harganeth, which is better for Cold Ones, in my opinion, doesn't exist either. Which is just a flat AP1 on all of your attacks in combat all of the time. You don't have to charge. And it turns them into a grinding machine. So, Assuming those two banners didn't exist, maybe there's enough output there, but probably not. Seaguard, Garrison Commander. I forgot what I was doing for a second there. And then we go Griffin, and we go... where's the magic armor? Armor of Calidor, Cedar Rebirth, and a Biting Blade, I think. Biting Blade or Sword of Might, dealer's choice. Let's go Sword of Might. Shield. Okay, so that's double... 114 points too many? Damn. That's so many points. Huh. Maybe we can't get the double in there. So if we drop the Noble, what do we do with 148 points? Like, what do you put in for 148 points? That's hard to work out. I feel like a lot of the strength of the list comes from the characters. Some of the best items in the game are the ones that are only good when there are two hypothetical changes to reality. Do we drop the Stormweaver? Is that the answer? Like, is the wizard worth running? Maybe that's it. What if we drop the Stormweaver and we go for the Noble that we talked about just a second ago? Great Weapon, Full Plate Shield, Griffin, Pure of Heart, Talisman of Protection, Cedar Rebirth. How many points does that leave us? 101 points there that we could spend. Because then we could go Mage. We drop the Ring of Fury. I mean, it's cool, but we just don't have the points for it. And then we go Mage and Lore Familiar. I don't think we even have points to make it a level 2. We don't have points to make it a level 2. But you're just there for, shits and giggles. Well, you're there for Oaken Shield, but it's a cheap. Oh no, it's too many, too many. Okay. So we just do the same thing, but we do it with the Stormweaver at level 1. We've got the points for it. You just don't get the reroll. Oh, you also can't take battle magic. Oh, that's so sad. That just doesn't work. Ed's a wizard. Oi, oi, oi. How you doing? You're having fun building models. Me, not having fun writing C-card lists. When are we getting a Renegades version of Razor Standard? I don't know that we will. Why? In fact, you know what? It's Renegade's fault that Razor Standard sucks. Why would Renegades do this to us, existing in a poor state as the Razor Standard? Disgraceful behavior. I feel like maybe the Sea Guard just doesn't bother with a wizard, and you just go Stormweaver level 1 for the dispel capabilities. It's just not good, is it? I mean, you could go Illusion. Glittering Robes actually is not bad. How many points did we have in characters? We had 41 in characters. Sigil of Assyrian is the auto dispel item. Like, maybe that's it, or maybe it's just MR2. Maybe this character with a. Wait a second. Does the Stormweaver breaks the Sea Guard, right? It doesn't have naval discipline. God damn it. God damn it. Why is everything terrible? Why? I hate this bloody detachment. You can't even do anything interesting with it. Like, put like a lore-mastered character in there. You can't put lore-master in there. I mean, I'm filled with a lack of just joy here. Like, this isn't good either. If Ezra is a wizard, what lore is he on? That's a good point. What lore am I on? Can the noble be a Sea Guard garrison commander or something? You could do that. It's worse, but theoretically, yes. You won't get the 3-up armor save. You'll only get a 4-up armor save. Because you don't have the armor of Calidor, but it does work. So maybe that's the solution. I don't like it, but maybe that's the solution. And then you get rid of this noble. The problem is as well, it costs way more points. So we've got to go... we'll go Biting Blade on this one. I'd go Biting Blade on both to shave points, but it's just not gonna fit in. Then we've only got 101 points, which is not enough to put the mage with Lore Familiar in. Ugh. This also needs heavy armor. Still a guy can ride a griffin. No, you are right. The reason that I didn't do it is just because it's more expensive, but I think it still might be better because then we can go like the mage with Sea Guard with a warbow and go illusion. So it's something. It's it's not compelling, but it's like the best I can think. Yeah, this does not spark joy, but it is what it is, right? And then we've got like what the hell do you fill the last of the points with? It's probably just an eagle. Or if we drop, I was wondering if there's scope to like spam the bolt throwers because you could have so many. But I think just the things that we have to put in, having to have this many points in core is really sad as well. So maybe it's just Eagle find 8 points from core. Like maybe that's the most appealing thing you can do. Like this, and then give them... Oh, wait, hold on. I want MR on this unit. I had missed that we... I literally said that we need MR on there and then forgot about it. This is an awkward amount. Do you need unit champions on these? Honestly, kinda no. Kinda no. Doesn't give you much. So then we go like this twice. Then we're points over. Then we're points over. All right, one's getting a unit champion. There we go. This'll have to do. If I look at it any further, I will I don't know. Be sad or something like that. Let me just scroll up and find the... Because I feel like... Are there 2 people with the same name on this server? There might well be. Might well be. It's further down, wasn't it? Fred's going to have an aneurysm. Yeah, it's... Looking at Sea Guard Garrison for too long does make me sad and also liable to jump. And not from enthusiasm and happiness. Where the hell has this list gone? The list has disappeared from out from under my eyes. I might just be stupid. Or it might be actually gone. Ah, there it is. Yeah, there we go. There are 2 people called Big Team Cream. How bizarre. All high elves make me sad. At least I find enjoyment in Trace. I think they're still underpowered, but I think there is fun stuff that I want to do with them. So that at least gives me something there. That gives me something there. Cool. Let me pull that one up as well to there. All right. That'll have to do in this realm. What should we look at next? There's another one that's going to give me an aneurysm, so I need to wait on that one. Let's have a look at... we'll look at some Wolves of the Sea. Matty 814's Wolves of the Sea. Let me just scroll up and find the essay on this one. Essay non-derogatory. I think it was pretty high up in the list. Nope, it wasn't that high up. I think it was pretty low down in the list. It's in here somewhere. Where's it gone? This is one of the reasons I don't like having to find the context on Discord, because I'm just scrolling for ages, and it's not that long to scroll up and down, but for some reason I just can't bloody see anything. All right, I know there's context for this list, but it seems to have gone AWOL. Has someone's deleted it? Surely not. Surely not. That wouldn't make any sense. Who put in the Wolves of the Sea list? It's entirely possible that I've been stupid. You know what? I think this actually might be Sean's list, and I might just be daft, and I've looked at the wrong part of my whatchamacallit, my spreadsheet where I keep track of whose goes with whose. So this is, yeah. You know what? I think this is Sean's list. Apologies, Sean. No wonder I couldn't find the goddamn list, because it wasn't someone that existed. Okay, Sean specifically, Sean says 2,000 points, trying to get a little better at the game each time I play, even though I only get to play a couple of times a month. Chaos Lord goes with Marauders, Exalted Champion goes on Steed. On Steed goes with the Huskarls. No more than one dragon. That's fine. Giant Brick Marauders, and you want to have at least 20. I like them. And then you've got the brick. Yeah, cool. What's your word count, Lizard? Limit? If my eyes glaze over when you post it, I'm not only am I not reading it, I'm probably just not reviewing your list. With it, basically just to the point where you annoy me enough that I'm like, this is too much hassle to deal with. So double spawn is good. That's a great start. And then you've got the Huskarls. I probably wouldn't go, like, just to start off with, I'd probably just go Undivided. Generally, I think Undivided is incredible. If it was points, I would pay for it a lot of the time. I think this is better than most of the marks, if not all of the marks. And you've got the Exalted Champion going with them. Okay. I wouldn't spend 300 points on a foot character for like a melee beater for this list. I don't think that helps you at all. If you're going to do anything, if you want to have a Chaos Lord who is a beater, then having the Chaos Lord on the Steed makes sense to me. You can run them around with the Huskarl, but I don't think having them in a Brick and Marauders really helps your game plan at all. So let's change that around, and we'll go put them on the Steed. Then you've got Favor of the Gods, Brazen Collar. Levitating Shield just isn't ever worthwhile, honestly, in my opinion. It was only getting you to a 3-up save, and you've got a 5-up ward save inbuilt. Let's get rid of that one. And you've got Favor of the Gods, Brazen Collar. Enchanting Aura is nice, still, even in this unit here. And then Mark and Nuggle's fine. I don't hate it on characters. We'll go for Shield as well. I think, honestly, if you're doing the Chaos Lord, if you want to have the choppy character, you may as well. Like, it's one of the few times I'm like, let's just upgrade you to an Ogre Blade. Let's go with Ogre Blade there. And you've got, yeah, perfect stuff. Yeah, cool. So we've got the Chaos Lord General here, good stuff. And then we can take this character off a Steed, because we've got the character in with the Huskarls. Favor of the Gods, Brazen Collar is fine. And you can't be a BSB. I think what I would do is I'd be tempted to, if you want a character in the Marauders, which is fine. I don't think it's, like, amazing. I'd go for a BSB, or I'd go for a Wizard. Both of those are just incredibly okay. Maybe in this setup, I'd just go... Okay, so you've gone Taskmaster Scourge. So you've got a more aggressive unit. You've got the Monster Hunter Tapestry. Even if you're not being super aggressive with them, I do like the Taskmaster Scourge. They are toughness 4, aren't they? Ah, okay. Have I... Yeah, you've made them a natural fortitude. Very nice. You've got close order, shields, hand weapons, Monster Hunter Tapestry. Sure. That makes sense. Yeah. I think a lore familiar sorcerer here with Oaken Shield and Arcane Urgency, because you don't actually need the brick to kill anything. What you need is the brick to kind of chunk, be combat res, be tanky, and then you can have the Huskarls with the Chaos Lord and the Exalted Champion Dragon. Both of those feel very good going in and supporting the Chaos Marauders, but actually bringing, like, what you had before was a 600-point unit with your theoretical best melee character in there. I think you're losing out on potential. So let's go Lore Familiar and level 2. Hopefully that doesn't take us up on points. It does take us over on points. Enchanting Aura is good. I think you can drop it. I know you had it for the infantry break before. You should be getting the charge with the Huskarls. I think you're fine. Although I wouldn't say no to the -1 to be shot. Diabolic Splendor, it's the same points. It's the same points. Okay, I think we're just going to have to live with where we are. We'll come back and maybe have a tweak there. But the Marauders are nice. Huskarls are nice. Giant Spawn are nice. The Warhound's fine. I'd be more tempted to go for a couple, like, multiple units of ambushing Berserkers. I think that might suit you better. I'm very wary about putting Berserkers on the tabletop because with their frenzy, a good player can just bait you out. Don't need Enchanting Aura, the Lord's Ogre Blade instead of Great Weapon. I think, yeah. Like, a lot of the time when I was looking at it in the, like, 1.5 days, it was kind of a, you want to make sure you swing before the dragon, so you get 2 rounds of combat out of the Lord before it probably dies. But with the 2-up save and the 5-up ward and all the wounds you had as well. But yeah, I'd be tempted to go something like 2 units of 6 like this. I think this gives you more pressure in terms of, you've got less scoring units, but you've got 1 scoring unit that can be, like, moderately aggressive, and then you can just, like, try to kill them off the point as well, which is not a terrible way of playing it. This unit here has... I wouldn't be opposed to giving them a banner. But where would we get the points from is the problem. Where would we get the points? So this unit can just drop down in... I'd like to give this unit Totem of Wrath, honestly, but I don't see that happening with the setup we've got. Trying to fit, like, squeeze everything in. 1/7, yeah, it's going to be difficult to do. Because, like, Totem of Wrath would make a big difference to... You're probably wounding on 2s with the Chaos Lord most of the time, or 3s sometimes, but then you're also AP2, becoming AP3 is really nice. Is there a way we can make that work? It is quite oppressive points-wise. We have to drop 30 points from somewhere. Maybe the Exalted Sorcerer doesn't need to exist. Because you're only casting at +1. So you could, if you wanted something in there, like BSB with... Honestly, BSB with Icon of Darkness and MR2 is not awful. You could go Brazen Collar, because this brick is here for, like, tankiness and combat res, right? So this gives you protection against against spells, protection against shooting, gives you a little bit more combat res. You'd go Shield, Great Weapon, probably. And then you're still 47 points over, so it didn't actually help at all. But I still like it more, even though it didn't help us in this particular predicament. We can drop Mark and Nurgle down to Undivided. Nurgle's nice, but you should want to be choosing your fights so you can get away with without having it as much. This one is... You've gone Brazen Will. Don't you have a... Oh, I'd say just go drop the armor of meteoric iron and go for the brazen collar for MR2. You lose the 5-up unremovable save, but you got a 5-up ward and a 5-up regen, so you don't really need that much durability. And then I would go for a second favor of the gods. Favors are really important. You don't want to, once you run out, you kind of have to stop rolling until you're in combat. We can't fit another one on the Lord, but, what are you going to do? Okay, so we're only 32 points over here. So what if we drop down to 1, even though I've literally just said they're really good? And then we could drop. Oh, no, we'd need 1 more point. I don't really want to drop the unit champion. We could drop. I don't think there's anything to drop to get us there, because I'm not dropping all of the. Unless. I mean, it's a little bit sad, but it could drop down to just a magical hand weapon here. Yeah, so we need to drop all the, we need to drop 26 points in core. So the hounds will be going. And we just need to go, back up to 29 models here. And that takes us to 1997. But we also had to drop just a couple of extra points. So that's, yeah, there we go. I think this looks good. I would like 1 more scoring unit, but I think just be really aggressive. Use all your very aggressive pieces and run them over, basically, would be my advice there. You're playing Wolves of the Sea. You've got low drops because you've got 1 core unit, 1 special unit, 2... Yeah, you're on 5 drops, plus, if needs be, you can try and do the challenge, but the challenge isn't as good anymore. Who needs scoring when you table the enemy? Absolutely. That is, a legitimate way of playing. I just in terms of comfort, I like having a good and a secondary scoring unit. You are welcome, Sean. All right, cool. That was a good one. That was, we were back to familiar territory. I didn't have to strain my brain too much to get there. I'm gonna strain my brain now. Gaunt Herder has submitted a Lisbon list, and this is the one that, now that I've looked at it, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this again just in terms of being able to tweak stuff. If people want to have Renegades lists in, that's fine. Just put the Ingud list in, and I will use it, for that. So, Gaunt Herder says, new Renegades, new Sun Banner on the BSB, light armor, 50 points more for Skinks, 120 points from the Troglodons. You've got 30 points left. Thought about giving magical attacks to everyone. And then the Skinks, it looks like there's lots of units of Skinks. It's actually 4 units of Skink Skirmishers and 3 units of Skink Cohort, just keeping it like MSU. Many Wolves the Sea list this evening. I think I think it might only be 1 that is in, just looking down the side here. No, there's 2. There is 2. Whoever the third one is must have had either their list looked at last week or just didn't quite make the top 12 list there. Apologies if that is the case for you. Okay. So. Shield of the Mirror Pool. I mean, I need to remind myself what the hell a Shield of the Mirror Pool does. It's been a hot minute since I've seen this. I haven't really had time, like I said this at the start, I haven't really had time to properly internalize all of the Lisbon changes. I've been very busy. But, the Shield of the Mirror Pool must do a different thing. Let me just pull up the PDF here so I can have a look at it. Because the actual legacy version of it is if you lose a wound to a magic missile, your opponent takes a hit. That's not something I'm spending 40 points on. So let's just have a quick look at Shield of the Mirror Pool. Any magic missile that strikes the bearer or unit is with is reflected on a roll of a 4+. That is much better. The caster may make a wizardly dispel. That's funny. Yeah, like the general vibes I have from Lissaman is pretty good. I do have some things that I've immediately noticed that I think needs changing. Like I'm worried about how strong the casting can end up. But yeah, that's I'll talk about that in my video. So even with how cheap the Troglodon is, 140 points. Maybe at 140 points it's good because it's a massive saving. They're going down 60 points. The main thing is the Troglodons are okay. So changes for the Troglodons. Instead of having the like Furious Charge Roar that they have here, it makes the units in range gain additional hits on 5s and 6s, not just 6s. And they're faster. They move at 8. They're very cheap at 140 points. And they have a 4-up armor save. Maybe that is just good enough at 140 points. I feel like they are kind of cannon bait, but you've got enough in the list that you like. How many cannons can you theoretically go with? The skink spat like core spam is interesting. I think I'd rather go slightly larger units, so you're not losing your scoring immediately on losing one model. But I think the actual being able to run if you wanted to run 8 units of skinks in core, being able to run the skirmishers and the cohort, I think is nice. The cohort are significantly less good, in my mind. They are a ranked up unit, so I don't think you're going to get anywhere near as much out of them as you would for anything else. But being able to just spam very cheap bodies is nice in a way. If they shoot the Trog, they aren't shooting the Carnosaur. Yes, that's true. But like, at some point you'll be like, okay, cool, I've killed the Carnosaur. Now let's shoot the Trogs. So there is a, being 4 monsters is probably enough. I still look at them and go, not having a secondary save always makes me uncomfortable with monsters in terms of how prevalent I find shooting to be. But yeah, I mean, mileage may vary depending on your local meta. I think all of the decisions that you've made here make sense. Obviously, the Saurus Oldblood with Armor of Destiny, and you probably want a shield on this model as well. In terms of you've only got heavy Armored Hide 2, right? So Armored Hide 2 plus Armor of Destiny gets you to a 3-up save. You can't get to a 2-up save, my brain. So yeah, that's probably as good as it's getting. Armor of Meteoric Iron. I feel like with the increased Armored Hide, or like having Armored Hide in general, I'm less on board with Meteoric Iron. I almost wonder if it's better just to go for heavy armor and get that 3-up armor save. It's better against small arms fire, it's worse against big stuff, but most of the big stuff, apart from cannons, is AP2. AP2. So maybe it's just save the points on the Meteoric Iron. That would probably be my first thought there. You might not need the... I know Meteoric Iron Talisman Protection has been the classic build, but maybe you don't need to do that here because of Armored Hide 2. Maybe it's just like pick up some heavy armor. Oh, that's a point. They can't buy heavy armor. What heavy armor could you go for? Maybe it's light armor plus... No, because the Hide of the Cold One gives you... Maybe you can't. Maybe there just isn't a heavy armor that's any good. Because obviously there's the Trailblazers Hauberk, but that's infantry only. Huh. Yeah, there isn't actually any... Okay, sure. I mean, do you maybe just go light armor, shield, Armored Hide 2, have a 3-up save against shooting, and a 4-up save in combat, and just save the points? I don't know. I'm less keen on that one, I think. That one feels less exciting. The Ripidactyls are interesting. I haven't really... I glanced at how they changed, but I hadn't looked in depth. Let me just have a quick look here at Ripidactyl Riders. So they've gone up to weapon skill 4 and they've gained an attack, and also they have Wicked Claws, whereas before I think they had hand weapons with Armor Bane 1 or something like that. Maybe they didn't even have Armor Bane, looking at the list of rules here. They still have the Exploding Sixes on the Ripidactyls only. So you're getting quite a lot of output there. They're bonkers. Yeah, it's a lot of punch. They're like Warhawk Riders, but they've got a 4-up armor save, right? Still super squishy. They are T3 with 2 wounds, but they've got Armored Hide plus light... Oh, no light armor. Armored Hide 2 plus shields. So you've got a 4-up save, which is not nothing. You've got protection from magic missiles from the shield. Um, yeah, that's interesting. Um, they get hatred from the Toad Rider as well. And then they also get extra attacks 1. Man, that's interesting. That's a lot. That is a lot. They have 40 points, though. It's only the Ripidactyls. So they're getting up to... Okay, so they're getting up to 4 attacks. Rerolling hits with 6s explode. That's an interesting combination. And I guess if you're in range of the Troglodons, you're getting 5s explode. But I don't feel like that's super likely, given the difference in speed. Maybe it is. Let's just work it out. In terms of like your expected output. So you've got 4 divided by 6. Assuming you're hitting on 4s, because you're only... Oh, your weapon skill 4. Let's assume you're hitting on 4s for the sake of it. So you're getting 0.6... no. We'll say that you're hitting... You've got the Troglodon in range as well. So you've got 1.3 additional attacks. And then you've got... what would it be? So 2.67. So 2 additional attacks. So you're kind of getting 3 hits... 4 hits because of the reroll. Then you get to reroll 4.5 hits. Okay. So you're getting 4.5 hits per model that's starting with 3 attacks. That's bonkers. And their strength 4 AP2. So going into a unit of like normal T3 infantry with a 4-up save, you've got a frontage of, let's say, 4 models, just for the sake of it. You're wounding on 3, so you got 12 wounds. And then you're killing like 10. I mean, you're spending a lot of points on it, right? AP2 Cleaving Blow, Totem Wrath. Yeah. The Trogs are for dispelling and buffs. They'll hide a lot. Okay, yeah, that does make sense. That does make sense. I looked at because like I say, I haven't had chance to like fully get through the document yet. When I saw movement 8, a little part of me was like, but what if you just run them up the board as well? But that's probably not correct. You don't need shield with the new rules, as Armored Hide 2 stacks with the 5 plus of the Carnicer. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Cool. So that's something that needs to be fixed. So, as pointed out by Gordon Herder in chat, the Armored Hide 2 stacks with the 5-up armor save of the Carnicer, and you can choose then either the 3-up armor save or the 5-up of the Meteoric Iron, depending on what is better for the situation, thanks to the lax wording on just choose the better of the 2 items. Rippers are too fragile, hence the defensive banner for no stand shoot and -1 in combat is big. Yeah, that makes sense. You've given them good magic protection from the anti-magic missile banner, and then you've given them a pretty solid -1 to hit as well. It's interesting. That is interesting. Double Carnosaur. This is a very fast list. This will be hard for people to interact with on the tabletop for sure. It's like the way that I'd have built is I'd have gone more down the Temple Guard line, but like this is a really interesting approach. I like the theoretical output there. It's funny, you look at the Ripidactyl riders, and you're like, well, they technically have attacks. They'll be out there. You're out here getting like 4.5 hits per Ripidactyl into your block toad target in optimal conditions, and they're like, I get half a hit per Ripidactyl rider as well. Trogs have movement 8 to support the Rippers. Oh yeah, so you can send them up. You'd hate to play this list as a newer player. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the worst things about the list to play against would be how many skinks you can spam. Like, that feels like... I like that the cohorts have been added in, but it feels like maybe that opens the door to things that are a problem. I'm not going to, like, when I get around to it, I don't think my review will be these should be taken out, but maybe they should be exclusive with skinks in terms of drops. Like, being able to run 7 or, like, 8 of basically the same unit is maybe not intended. Don't fix the armor, that's the one good thing. Do you feel like there's not enough power in here then? You wanna keep more power from the list? I'm curious what the actual play, like, what space the skink cohorts have. I don't mean like the way that you're running them, but I'm interested to see how people run them with the Croxigore, because I feel like it's just worse Saurus at that point. But it's also cool, so I'm kind of keen to see them on the tabletop. Sure, you abuse the cohort. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. That's what the testing phase is for, right? People abuse it, and then it gets pointed out that maybe this one thing is too much, and then it can be fixed. Force the Crocs in, make the Crocs way cheaper. Okay, making the Crocs is cheaper is interesting. Maybe you just like make it. I was gonna say make it like a flat cost for a certain number of models, but that's too Age of Sigmar. Coats are just cool. Yeah, no, I absolutely. I would love to have them in the game. I'm not opposed to them. It's just whether having them in this way is too much is the question here. Okay, so I don't think that obviously you're here, which is great. I'm not gonna paste the list, but I think just talking through the options. So you've got 30 points left. What's left to equip? Thought about giving some magic attacks to everyone. I do like that because it also gives you poison on the great weapon attacks, and you've got a lot of great weapon attacks. And with the exploding attacks, like each 6 is going to get +1, +2 to wound, but then it's also going to get the additional hits. You're going to get a lot of value out of those 6s, but you've got enough attacks in there for it to feel worthwhile. Instead of it just being you're paying for the magic, you're getting the poison as well. And obviously they are monster hunters, especially now the Carnosaur is weapon skill 4. So getting it so that you'll be wounding dragons on 3s is pretty nice, or wounding like steam tanks and stuff on 2. Sorry, wounding on 2s instead of 3s. That thing needs an asterisk. What the poison and magical attacks needs an asterisk? It's interesting. I think it's okay for 15 points. Like my each 6 is a champagne shower. Sure, but at least like the additional attack it generates won't automatically be poison. You have to roll the 6 on there. I think if you didn't have like if you weren't already strength 5, it would be more of a problem. I think that would maybe be like more of an issue if you weren't already strength 5. But you're already going to be wounding most things on 2s with your great weapon, and you're actually only going from like 3s to 2s on the T6 stuff. So I think it's probably okay. Yeah, I don't feel bad about it. I like that as a suggestion. The other thing I like is I would go a little bit bigger on your units of skinks. I think I would prefer to have units of like 12 or something just for scoring. I know like if you look at the exiles list that the tolls were running, they're running like MSU 10s. It just makes me a little bit nervous that you can lose one model from a squad and then suddenly not be able to score. Maybe just like the regular skinks go up in unit strength a little bit. 26 cohort and marching column is also a thing. Yeah. I'm a big fan of. I don't know if you've seen. I one of my favorite things is that stupid like 5x5 +1 or 4x4 +1 in marching column on a unit that doesn't need to charge. I've been doing it a lot with my Chaos Dwarfs when I was running the Chaos Dwarf Warriors with just hand weapon shields because it's like I don't care. I'm just going to stand at the point. You can charge me. I don't know why that's just fucking sent me. Don't be nervous. Your opponent is nervous. Dinosaur come. Truly, the poet of our time. I love it. That does describe Lizardman for me. But yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you for showing me the way that you're building your list out. I think this is really interesting. I like the direction you've gone with. I assume you can't have a. I just need to double check. There's no like standard bearer for the Ripidactyls, obviously, is there? You can't do double standard. No, more to come. Very cool. I look forward to seeing what you're cooking. Tons of builds. Nice. Very cool. All right. Cool. Well, let's move on to the next one. Now that my brain has been thoroughly exposed to New Lizardman, I'm going to be reading it in bed. After this, I've got a little bit of work that I need to tidy up. I'm just going to get in bed. I'm just going to read the PDF. It's one of those where if you've got things that you can't move and then something like this drops, it's so It's heartbreaking is the wrong word, but you feel like a kid at Christmas, and you're just like, I want to read it. I want to read it. You like the idea of lots of small Ripper units and just toad marking everything. Yeah, like that's the approach that I thought of when X Force was initially talked about, and I was like, hey, what if we just run like loads of units of miners, and then you've got like loads of spots on the board you can come up. But this feels like a better version of it. This feels like a much more useful way to do things there. All right, let's have a look at. I can see Jacob in chat. So there is another Wolves of the Sea list, and there was also. Let's find the essay for this one. It was very short. This I wouldn't even call this an essay. Recently dug up an old list I had a year ago with Warriors of Chaos Army that's based on Prince Sigvald. Since the Marauder update, the list was old, so I decided to update it. Lord and Champion of Chaos Warriors are with the Chaos Warriors, and then the Sorcerer Lord is with the Chaos Knights, Demonology, and Acquiescence. Okay. So. I'm assuming that this is Mark Slanesh for flavor reasons. I will say Nurgle is just out and out better. But, I mean, if you want to run it for flavor reasons in that way, fair enough. That's an easy enough change to make either way. The main thing that I would say here is I don't think the Sorcerer Lord should go with the Chosen. You're putting all of your sort of like eggs in the Chaos Warrior basket, but it's a unit of infantry that no one's going to ever want to charge. So if you put your Sorcerer Lord in the Chaos Warriors, and you then Seed of Shadows around the table, suddenly you're able to bring your very important like melee character into combat. So that would be the way that I would change that here. So let's take them off the steed for now. And you're going Slanesh, Demonology, Lore Familiar, Favor of the Gods, Power Scroll. That's super reasonable. You're level 4. I think you can just be level 3. I don't think you need a 4th level spell. Also, in your notes, you said Acquiescence. That's the Lore of Chaos Slanesh spell, right? Yeah. Remember, if you're using Lore Familiar, you can't pick a signature spell from your faction lore. You can only take it from the signature of the lore that you're in. So you'll be going Steed of Shadows, Demonic Vessel, and either Demonic Vigor or going for like Demonic Familiars. Both of those are fine, depending on the matchup that you're in. Or you could go the Summoning as well. But yeah, foot character here. And then the Chaos Warriors are Marcus Slanesh, very nice. Shields, you've given them halberds. I'm not sure I love the halberds. Gone. Battle Hunger is good, to be fair. Battle Hunger is good. And if you're going to put Enchanting Aura in there, you don't need it. What I quite like, if you're going for like the Strikes First brick anyway, I'm quite a big fan of Enhanced Reflexes for the +2 modifier to initiative. But I think the way you've done it also works pretty well, right? Isn't the raid on Sea Shadows long enough to reach the Chaos Warriors, or is it just preventative? Your wizard's not going to be facing the Chaos Warriors. Realistically, so like turn 1, that unit of Chaos Chosen is going to be up the board, and the Chaos Warriors will be behind them, and then you won't be able to cast the spell on them. So it's just not gonna get there. In terms of core, what have we got? Charm Shield, Icon of Darkness. Let's always make sure that we've got the Magic Resist 2 item on them there. Marcus Slanesh is fine. Halberds is okay, especially if you're striking first. Just like getting the +1 strength, and then you get the extra AP on the follow-up, it's probably fine. Then you've got the Chaos Knights, and you've got the Marauder Horsemen. I'm not sold on the Chaos Knights. I'm not sure they're adding much to the list here. Let's just take them out for now, and we'll come back to them. Then the Marauder Horsemen, unit champion on there. Give them Skirmish as well. Honestly, a couple of units of Marauder Horsemen I think is just very solid to have. Like, I would maybe just default to 2 units of these if you're struggling for points. Is there any feasible argument for Chosen Chaos Warriors? Not in the current version of the game, because it's infantry that cannot score, and you're getting a lot of your output from like the characters attached to the units here. So I'd say don't even, I wouldn't bother with that. The Chosen are cool, but unless the game has changed to where all infantry score, I think it's just like if you're doing kitchen table Warhammer, just do what you fancy. But if we're trying to make it like the most competitive version of the list, I'd say Chosen, unfortunately, don't have a place, which is a real shame. I'm an absolute sucker for the like elite 2 attack infantry. I really like them. I'm really tempted. Like, I mean, hell, I'm looking at dwarves, right? Which is their entire army, is their entire faction is just elite infantry that are slow. So I think we'll probably want to take one of the characters out. I think as much as like putting the sorcerer lord in there, I wouldn't be opposed to putting one of the characters in with the chosen knights, or theoretically putting the normal knights back in and putting a character in with them. Now, because you've talked about Sigvald specifically, normally what I'd recommend is What I'd recommend is putting the Lord with them, just in terms of making it the best. Like if we're just going non-theme, but we're trying to make this sort of style list work, I'd go like Chaos Lord, Ogre Blade, put them in with the Chosen Knights, have them run around and kill loads of stuff, and then leave the BSB in with the foot unit. But I think in this case, because you're specifically building around Sigvald, we kind of need to leave the Chaos Lord in the unit, right? And we've got... I need to remind myself what the Demon Sword does, because I think it might be terrible, but Strength plus D3, AP minus 2, extra attacks D3, magic attacks. I mean, you can kill your own unit instead of killing enemy models. I would say, for the same points, go for the Ogre Blade. If your heart is set on the Demon Sword, go for it. But in terms of like going for an expensive magic weapon that costs the same points, Ogre Blade's just going to be generally better. I'll tweak it and put the Aspiring Champion in, and then Rampaging Banner's not bad, but I generally don't find space for it because there's so many good banners. Speaking of, what have we got in here? Probably just go Monster Hunter Tapestry, actually. I know I looked at that and said that -1 to hit is good, but I think just generally, if you've got a very important melee brick, you're going to get more value out of having Monster Hunter Tapestry. And then, dragons can't just run roughshod over you. Battle Hunger is the movement one, that's fine. Enchanting Aura, Favor of the Gods, Ogre Blade. Yeah, all of that's good stuff there. Cool. Sorcerer Lord is fine. Probably don't need the Favors of the Gods, but I don't hate having them in there, although we do need to put Battle Hunger on that model and take Battle Hunger off the Aspiring Champion. Oh, it didn't have it anyway. Okay, so we need to put the Taskmaster Scourge on the Sorcerer who's going in with the unit. Obviously, you don't need the Taskmaster Scourge if you're Steed of Shadowing, but you can't see the shadows the turn you charge, so having it to make your charge range longer is good to have. So let's get rid of that here. Brazen Collar, Favor of the Gods is good, and probably just give him a great weapon, stick him on a horse, and yeah, job's a good one. That means you've got double Brazen Collar. Let's just double check here, so we can take it off. BSB is fine. We'll come back to the Magic Banner, and then I'll take the Brazen Collar off the unit champion, with the thought of being, we may as well put it on the one that you want to keep alive, the Aspiring Champion. I'd also go full command on them. Like, if we're putting a character in there, we may as well do the investment to get to here. And if we're doing that, I think Totem of Wrath just gives you enough punch that you kind of, pretty spicy, get in and do a lot of damage there. Make sure we give them drilled as well. And if you're going for something like Chosen Knights, 1 point per model for Dark Arts is quite nice, because obviously your punch on the charge is very, very good, but then you can end up getting bogged down. This helps a little bit. You're more likely to make someone break and flee, because you actually reduce their leadership instead of just like, adding combat res or whatever. So if we're doing that, then maybe it's just Icon of Darkness on this unit. Totem of Wrath, Icon of Darkness on the Chosen Knights. That feels pretty good. Yeah, I think that feels good. Yeah, I like that. And then in terms of what we've got, honestly, a second Spawn. I think Spawn are better in pairs, so going for a second one here would be my recommendation. And then that leaves us with some points to spend, an awkward amount of points to spend. Is there anything... Honestly, maybe we just go like an extra Favor of the Gods here, which puts us at 1996, and I think that works out pretty well. But yeah, this build should do the job pretty well. The Warriors can march up the table with their Fly 12, The Marauder Horsemen can ambush if you need them to. The Chosen can run around and be pretty punchy. The Spawn can run around and be pretty punchy. And yeah, should be able to interact with various lists. You're not super weak to dragons or anything like that with the Monster Hunter Tapestry. Yeah. You like it? Perfect. Glad that it suits. Okie dokie. So, now we've looked at that one. There is another one that I want us to have a look at. You are always welcome. Let's have a look at Jeffrey McCohen, looking to run X-Force for the first time. Thoughts on this list? No special characters. Characters can't be over 1,000 points. Other than that, no huge modifiers / rules. But it's a 2,500 point list. With no... what's his face? No... Burlock Daminson. So. How are we making... What's the best version of X-Force without Burlock Daminson? I feel like it makes the Thunderers significantly more sad. And it makes me wonder if you just go more Rangers. So, obviously, you can still get the Expedition Marksman, which is a very good upgrade, because you don't take negative modifiers to move and shoot, which is great. You'll still have long-range penalties. You're only ballistic skill 3, and you won't be rerolling 1s. So, you're a lot less good than you were. So, is it just that you go for Rangers? Like, are Rangers just worth going for you? Because you could double up on Rangers instead of the... instead of going for the Thunderers. Or is the strength, like, is the AP1 Armorbane 1 that much better than the strength 0, AP0 Armorbane 2, but then higher ballistic skill? Difficult to say. I'm also not sure that I care about this unit of warriors. I think let's drop the unit of warriors, and let's go, if we're going dwarves, let's bulk up these 2 units of infantry. I think that's where I'd rather spend my points. Cannons. Okay, artillery-wise... Jeffrey, dwarves are a little bit of a pain in the ass. You can take the same runes multiple times, but you can't take the same specific loadout of runes. So you can't have 2 cannons that have specifically function over forms, not a rune. I'm so tired. You should... I'm sure you knew that you can't duplicate the runes because you didn't do it, but you should take runes on them to give them magical shooting, because then it gives you power into stuff like... the Vampire Camp matchup where they've got Ethereal and that sort of stuff. God, that's... Get it together, man. Organ Gun. I wouldn't go function over form on the Organ Gun because it's ballistic skill shooting. So I think you're probably better off just leaning on the T7. You can do it, but I think I'd rather keep the T7 instead of the T6, because if you move and shoot, you're taking the penalty, and you're already only ballistic skill 3. So I think you're probably not getting much out of that. And you've got a 30-inch range, so you don't have to deploy in the line. You can kind of deploy in corners. I'm thinking, immediate thoughts, we're going to, we've dropped the dwarves. We're going to go heavier on the artillery. So, like, a second organ gun is, I don't want to say good, but a second organ gun there is something that's, like, worth playing around with. Scouts. I would go for the maximum number of scout Eurocopters possible. One day we can run 10 Doom Seekers with Rune of Alaric the Mad. Oh, you already had them in there. Sorry, No, you didn't. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so special, let's go. We've gone for the maximum of six Scout Eurocopters. The reason that I'd recommend these is they have Ballistic Skill 4, which means that when you're trying to do the classic gun shooting, you've got better chance of doing something because you're just starting off with a better ballistic skill. Then you had a unit of 4 classic gun Eurocopters. I am not impressed necessarily with their output there, but I think 2 units of 2 with steam guns is actually kind of appealing. So let's go like so. And units of 2 for the Eurocopters is really nice because they have impact hits. 2 sets of D3 impact hits is enough to win fights into most small units, plus their actual attacks. They are also unit strength 3 each, so they have unit strength 5 when you go into flanks, or you can go and get baggage trains, so it just gives you that flexibility to play the game with, that without having to invest. You had like a 400, no, not 400, like 260 point unit or whatever it was. Um, Two 120 point units is quite hard to interact with. Obviously, you have to take a panic test the second a single model dies, but your leadership dwarf, so like, you're probably fine. Sometimes you won't be, but you're probably fine. Runes. Let's start off with one. Will go reloading. Okay, so you've gone for the reloading on the grudge thrower. Okay, so we'll go forging on one, and then on the other one we'll go forging and reloading. I'm sure there are plenty of different ways you can set up your runes on artillery. I kind of just default to forging, reloading, and then maybe like um reloading and the stalwart or something like that, just like cheaper versions, just trying to keep them as cheap as possible. I'd probably also be tempted to go for like a second grudge thrower here as well. Artillery is better when you have more of it, so something like this is maybe the way to go here. We may have to drop some artillery because we're looking at the points we're actually getting pretty pricey. Now let's have a look at the characters, because we've got, yeah, I think we might have to cut some stuff here in a second. So, Sapper, who is the general with great weapon handgun, concussive force, rapid fire, rune of passage. I don't like that, but let's look at all of them first. Then you're going really heavy on the stupidity. I don't think I'm not sold that that's the way to go in terms of, like, I think squeezing more damage out of them might be better, like accuracy, but you've got then a Sapper with a pistol and a great weapon. You've got a Thane with the full shooting Strela's Grogny, and then we've got the Runesmith with spellbreaking and engineer. Okay, so the Runesmith, let's make sure that we give them the Master Rune of Calm and one spellbreaking. That's probably going to be more useful in terms of your spells. Everything counts in large amounts. True. So, this one up at the top, this just makes sense. This is good. This Thane is pretty good. Vanguard's not awful, especially if you're taking the Thunderers. So let's assume we're taking the Thunderers. Being able to Vanguard is nice. I would definitely go Rune of Courage, though. I think that's super important. You really don't want to run off the board. You've got Courage on the Rangers already. So yeah, let's make sure we're definitely doing that. You've got Handgun, Shield. Everything else is good on there. Okay, cool. Then we've got this Sapper, concussive force, rapid fire. I'm not gonna, not gonna change your loadout. People do like concussive force. I'm not sold on it, but for the sake of, let's leave that as is. We'll drop the Sapper that was just on its own, not doing much, and let's go. Honestly, do we just go two normal engineers? I think feels pretty good. Oh, you can put I forgot. You can put give the Thunderers reroll ones from the Artillery Master on the Engineer. That's how we get around losing Burlock. We just go with a normal Engineer who has that. We don't ignore the long range penalty, but we still get the reroll ones. Okay, yeah, I like that. That gives us something. We probably want to give it Expeditionary Marksman if we're putting it in the unit, but then the other one doesn't have to be Expeditionary Marksman. Okay, so we're going to go one that has no upgrades at all, because it's probably just going to hide away. It's going to be outside of the unit. It's going to be near some artillery. But then this one's going to go in the unit as well. And then you've got a Sapper per unit. You've got the Thane. You've got the Runesmith. I wouldn't mind a second Runesmith, but points are points. Yeah, okay. I think let's drop the Grudge Throwers. I'm generally pretty on Grudge Throwers in general. I think they're very inaccurate, so it's hard to be excited about them. And then we'll bulk up the unit here. And we'll bulk up the unit here as well. And then, is there anything else? So Rune of Forging, Rune of Reloading. We don't need to double up on those now. Double organ guns, which are like fine in terms of output. I think maybe it's just put a few more Thunderers in. So you're going to be... you're going to put the Runesmith in, you're going to put the Thane in, you're going to put a Sapper in, and an Engineer in, so that's 4 more. So right now you're 24, so I guess go up 2 more models. Like that. And I wouldn't really want to go up to another one. We are getting a little unwieldy with the size of them, but it's not awful. Honestly, this Engineer if it's going in the squad, maybe we just go accuracy and rapid fire, which is another combination that's in use, which is criminal. Absolutely criminal, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Like, maybe it's worth just dropping like duplicates. So there's a great weapon and a shield here. I think we're probably just using the shield because we're making sure our runesmith doesn't die. And then do we do the same? Here you can't have shields, so we'll keep the great weapons. Here we'll give them a great weapon because they're going to be in the unit anyway. Screw it. We'll just put the great weapon back on and drop another model. Like that, I think makes the most sense. Yeah, there we go. Interesting to play around with without Burlock Davidson. It feels like he adds so much to the list that it's... I'm typing at Burlock Davidson. That's because I was just talking about them. But yeah, it's funny. I hadn't thought about building without him. It feels a little bit limiting. All right. Cool. So, that is the X-Force list. We've got some Exiles, we've got some Royal Clan, and there was a Demons list as well that someone had submitted an Ingud list for. If you give the Gigantic Chaos Spawn Larkus Nashing against first strike, does it mean that it negates the strike last from the Nashing more? It does indeed mean that. What's the initiative on them? No, it's the Necrosphinx I'm thinking of. One of my, like, bugbears is the wrong word, because I don't actually care, but something that, like, I find very funny is that the Necrosphinx is initiative 1, and it also has strikes last on its tail attack, which is like, it's hard to, yeah, I don't know, it just feels a bit like, what's the point, you know? But yeah. Anyway, this is, I didn't write it in here, this is Matty814's list, the Demons list. The Matty who I got excited earlier, I think, when I was looking for a Matty's list, but I was being stupid. So hopefully they're still around. That's a legacy document style rules mix-up. Yeah, I mean, it's not actively, like, it's not a conflicting rule. It just doesn't matter. I guess if you, like, increase their initiative somehow, it would matter, but I'm not sure there are ways you can really increase it. Hey! Good to have you. All right, so you've got, this is a 1970-point list, and you've given the Bloodthirster +2 arms, which makes sense to me. I think, generally, because I looked at this one very briefly, just to make sure that it worked as in the import, because I haven't done Ingud imports before. The general vibe is good. I think Skull Cannons, good. Just a good unit in general. Blood Crushers, plus a Herald, good. Like it, on board with that. Bloodletters, fine. And then Fleshhounds, good. The Fleshhounds, I wouldn't give Vanguard, I'd give Ambushes. They are such a pain in the backside to deal with. And in fact, I'd go with 2 units of them. We're going to drop one of the units of Bloodletters to get there. These things with Ambushes are such an absolute pain in the backside. They're very frustrating to deal with. They're so tanky. You don't have to start them in ambush. You could even go like 1 ambush, 1 Vanguard. But I think having the flexibility of having 2 come in is just an absolute pain in the back end for me to deal with. However, you've gone for a unit of 13, and then you've gone for a BSB on foot with the Skull Totem. The Skull Totem is the Totem of Wrath, but for demons, and I think that doesn't make any sense. Bloodletters are not going to be getting the charge, so trying to make them better in that respect doesn't make any sense. But I would say continue to do what you're doing here, but just make this the one that's on the Juggernaut. And then this character here, maybe we'll just drop for the second, because I don't think this unit of Bloodletters needs a Herald, necessarily. I think they're fine just being like, I've got to take something to stand on an objective. That's fine. I'd probably go bigger on them, but I wouldn't, like, lean into charge bonuses. The Bloodthirster, I think, is good. You've gone many arms and Armor of Khorne, which is 60, 70, 85. I think I'd literally just go 1 extra arm. I'd go Collar of Khorne. In fact, I'd actually be tempted to go for the Spell Eater as well. Spell Eater, Armor of Corn, Collar of Corn. Not even worry about the many arms. Sure, more attacks, more gooder, but this gives you like a frontline legitimate dispel threat. You've got a disgusting amount of magic resist on there, and then the Armor of Corn giving you a 3-up armor save is pretty nice as well. Demonic Flash. Do you start off with a? I think you start off with a 4-up save, right? Let me just remind myself on this one here. The document tab for this is way longer than normal, which is I guess it's easier to find stuff. You just got to scroll for ages. So you've got full plate already, and then Armor of Corn. I don't think gives you anything other than a 3-up armor save, right? Yeah. I don't hate it. Like, I think I'd pay 25 points to go from full, like a 4-up to a 3-up. Makes sense. To be honest, the Bloodletters rarely make it into combat. Yeah, they're really sad. I wish infantry was more gooder, but it's a little bit of a shame that's the spot that they're in right now. Okay. But yeah, skull totem is very good just in general. The other thing that I actually like, something that you can do, is we could go Herald of Corn here and give them the Exalted Locus, I think is the name of it, the just general icon that gives you the Locus of Wrath, and Locus of Wrath gives you hatred, which is obviously very good. But then if you've got it in a banner aura, you've got it so that you can put it on top of the on the Bloodthirster, he hasn't just given him hatred, and I've forgotten. No. Yeah. I think hatred on the Bloodthirster honestly scares me more than most things. And then we'll go on the unit of Blood Crushers. The standard will give them the Skull Totem there. Like, that's probably how I'd set this one up. And then we may as well give them... what's the base magic resist on a Herald? Is it 2? Magic resist 2. What's the base magic resist on the Blood Crushers? 1. Okay, so there's no point giving them the Brazen Collar to upgrade their whatchamacallit there. I wouldn't, with 3 attacks, how do we feel about the Axe of Corn? It's strength +1, AP -2, killing blow for 25 points. It's starting to get very expensive. Maybe we just don't need it, and we've got enough there. I feel like we don't have enough there. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna say Axe of Corn, and this is probably the direction that I would take a demons list in. Like, out of all of the demon stuff, the things that I'm most enthused about is Corn. I don't think it's the strongest, but like, this is the list that I'd go with. The sort of weakness of this list is its weakness to shooting, and its general lack of models on the table because they're very pricey. But the Bloodthirster hits hard. The unit of Blood Crushers hits hard. The Flesh Hounds can be on the table if you need them to be, or they can ambush and just be a pain in the backside for your opponent. The Double Skull Cannons will trundle up doing some shooting and then get into combat eventually. Yeah, this is how I would tweak a full Corn list, in my opinion. The only thing I think it's missing is I feel like it could do with more models, but I don't know how you get there with Corn in a satisfying way. There you go. Cool. I love it. No thinking, just charging. Yes. ABC, always be charging. Always be charging. You are welcome. Paul, who was in chat earlier, apologies I didn't get to your list earlier, Paul. We've got a Royal Clan list, and Paul put a essay in chat. It wasn't too bad, but it was a bit long, too long to fit in the notes section of Old World Builder. So let me just find Paul's list here. Okay, so it's a high-ed. So with Rob's TSN changes to infantry, any infantry at unit strength 10 is able to score. I was seeing if I could make Royal Clans competitive in square-based comp. I think this is I like Paul and know Paul well enough that a little bit of playful ribbing between us is very acceptable, for those of you who are unaware. I like that he's like, I'm wondering if I can make Royal Clan competitive now that more infantry score. Look at the infantry he's put in. Like, he's put 2 units of rangers in, but he's just gone like, I'm going to go like heavy into the core units of infantry and then have some rangers. I think I think maybe we do something slightly different if that's the goal. BBC better be charging. I like ABC more. ABC makes more sense. Um, going for a full send kind of list, the unit of 12 warriors to sit guarding home objectives or baggage train. You have all of the dwarf units. Happy to change it for something unit better. Do you think this list has little and stumpy legs? That's a grudgeon. That's a grudgeon for sure. So the first thing for a full send dwarf list is you need a Bugman's card. That is non-negotiable because that's the only thing that's going to make you move more good at. And you also can't go for an anvil. Oh no, you can go for an anvil. Maybe you need, like, if you're going full send, you just need an anvil to get up the board. Hard to say. Hard to say. You've also spent about 300 points on Doomseekers, which is fine. I'm not sure that I love that. We'll come back to that one. So, in terms of what you've got, you've gone King, Double Thane, and a Rune Lord. So the Rune Lord is... What do we got? Balance... No. I feel like that was meant to be calm and you just misclicked. So calm, double spell breaking. Oh, it's a once per turn buff on the casting. I think you just go calm. I think calm is better. Because then you give a bubble of your spells are harder to cast, and that's like the standard, like really hard to fucking deal with. Because then your magic resist 2 on your units, and you've got an 18-inch bubble of +2 to cast spells, and suddenly even Wild Herd need like 13 to cast their spells. So even with a +4, you're still looking at a 9 on the dice, which is just unlikely to go off. Other than that, you went for Preservation for immunity to multiple wounds, which is fair, and then the Rune of Stone as well, which is single reroll armor save. I mean, sure. It's fine. If you had 5 points. I'm going to take it off because I think it's... Oh, it's because you already had it on the thing. Okay, sure. Sure. So, then you had... Let's have a look. So this thing is Rune of Battle, Rune of Grugni, Handgun, Full Plate, Shield, Shield Bearers, Bursting Flame, Accuracy, Rapid Fire, Preservation. Sure. I feel like Preservation is like pretty reasonable to put on a 5-wound character with the Shield Bearers. I actually quite like my Thanes, like my BSBs to be on Shield Bearers, and it always worries me, like in the list building. Not that I've played a huge amount of Dwarves, but I always worry about how easy they are to kill if you don't have them on Shield Bearers. So I quite like this setup. I would say you want the Rune of Courage, though. So you've got it on the Longbeards already. But maybe we just go Stralis' Rune. If we're full send, like, let's get up the board a little bit faster as well. King has Great Weapon, Full Plate, Shield, Shield Bearers, Preservation, Fortitude, Smiting, Rune of Might. We don't normally see Might. What are we missing? Might, Preservation, Fortitude? It's normally Grommel. There we go. So that gets you to the 2-up save. 2-up save is better than the 4-up save you have plus T6. Because stuff like dragons will still wound you on 3s anyway, right? So let's just get that 2-up save. So you've got a 4-up armor save, and you've got a 5-up ward from the Master Rune of Grugni. And that's the Lord that's a real pain in the backside to deal with. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Do we have a Rune of Passage anywhere? No. Let's make sure that we've... Oh, it's on the Longbeards. All right, we're going to put it on the character, because the Longbeard champion might just go under the bus. Okay. All of these characters make sense to me. But then you've gone core. Like, I don't feel like this list is significantly better because of the all-infantry scoring rule. I get that there's 2 units of rangers that can scout. But, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it does... Like, it doesn't feel like it's better. I still feel like this list needs the ability to reach out and touch the opponent, which is what Grudge Throwers... That's not appealing, is it? How many Doomseekers? Oh, it's Ungrim that unlocks the Doomseekers, that's it. I didn't think that sounded right. Like, if anything, you could put make the Death Star hammers. But I guess the problem that dwarves have is not that their Death Star isn't good enough. Their Death Star's always decent. It's just everything else around it, and scoring points is difficult. Yeah. I think for the sake of it, so this is, let's make this 25 because it'll be double shield. No, hold on, double shield bearers, which is 8, and then you've got the Rune Lord in there, which is 9. So that's. Are you going to put the other Thane in there as well? You can't put the Thane in there as well, surely. Maybe you can. The frontage would have to be 6, 7, 8 wide on a really slow unit. That just doesn't feel feasible. So I guess this character has to be in the Royal Clan Warriors? Question mark? But it doesn't feel like. Yeah, I think the logistic of putting this character in just doesn't work, unfortunately. You like the prospect of scoring hammers a lot. Yeah, I think so. But then also, like, in terms of what we got, you still have to take 600 points of core. And I think there's, like, if I look at the stuff in here, there's not really anything that sparks joy. Like, in a way where I'm like, oh, actually, not, like, spending 600 points on any of this stuff here, and then also taking the hammers, like, is that better? I feel like they're stymied by their ability to do very little. You were thinking about going 10 wide, but you forgot about the lack of movement. You've been out here playing ogres. You're like, yeah, I'll just march 12 inches. Look forwards to marching 6 inches. So I think what we do is we take the gun off this character, and we give them a great weapon instead of a handgun. And we are Rune of Preservation, so you're immune to multiple wound. And then we can just go like double Rune of Smiting here. I'm a big fan of like a double Rune of Fury. I'm a big fan of a Thane that just like throws out attacks. Because you're 5 wounds, T5 with a 4-up save and a 5-up ward. I don't think you need more defense than that. And then you've also just got 6 great weapon attacks that have hatred characters, which, like, lots of things coming in will have characters in the unit, so that feels fine. Hammers and Doomseekers almost make me want to play dwarves, but they need 10 turns to get anywhere. I know. I don't know how they fix dwarves, but I really want to play them. Yeah, so I think we go for the full violence Thane that's on the shield bearers, and that goes in the unit with the king. And then you only have to be 7 models wide in terms of having your full command. In fact, do you maybe just go? You drop. This is like, I know I wouldn't normally recommend this, but maybe you drop the musician so you can be 6 wide, and you only have 2 models in the front, which is the banner and the unit champion, and then you've got 2 shield bearers. And by doing that, you make it very, very difficult for the enemy to actually put attacks into the Longbeard, and they have to put them into the much tankier characters. At which point, the Thane wants to be tankier if you do that. It's a Master Rune of Grommel, so you can't go for that. Could go for Fortitude, but I just don't think Fortitude's useful. You can't increase the armor save in any way other than just going for a shield, but that sucks. So, okay, I still think this plan's fine, but maybe you just don't make it the main plan to just tank all of the hits on the Thane. Although it's still not a bad plan. Okay, so you've got 8 here. And I guess we want to go for 36, so you can be 6 by 6 wide. That feels like the correct thing to do. So we're going 6 by 6. Then we want to go 28 models here. You need at least as many rank and file as characters in front. Yes, so if we're only putting 2 characters in, even though they're 4 bases wide, you still only need 2 rank and file to get there. So you can be 6 wide, but only have 4 models in the front rank because of the shield bearers, which is an interesting thought that I haven't played around with, but I'm going to start playing around with as a concept. Then we go for the Thane. Yeah, 2 shield bearers, 2 command. Yeah. I think that is interesting. I think there's actually something there. And then we'll go Bursting Flame. Accuracy Rapid Fire. There we go. And then we should also give them passage and furnace, just to make you very difficult to kill with fireball. No worries, Jeffrey. Yay for being in the US where we don't generally accept special characters. That's rough, because I don't feel like Burlock's a problem. It's just like an interesting force multiplier that lets you do things. So it's a little bit of a shame that you can't run it. Okay, so character-wise, we've got the Longbeard Death Star that's going to really struggle to get anywhere. But if it does, it'll be great. So that's cool. Oh, no, you've got the Rune Lord as well. Bollocks. Bollocks, bollocks, bollocks. You really want the Rune Lord in there. Bugger. So you actually have to be 7 wide, which means you have to be 8 wide. Oh, no, that's too big. That's too big. Balls. Okay. Unfortunately, we have to drop the shield bearers, otherwise it's just going to be unmanageable. We're still going to have to be 7 wide here with the Rune Lord. I forgot the Rune Lord existed. I don't know how I forgot the Rune Lord existed. We're just going to have to accept that. What did you go on here? Remind me. Preservation for, multiple wounds. And then calm, spell breaking. Yeah. Balls. That's really annoying. Okay. So if we're doing that, then we need to go 7 wide, I think. Because there's 3 characters, 7 wide. So that is 7, 14, 28, 35, which means we've got 6. So we go to 29. Sure. I mean, it doesn't have to be an exactly square unit, so whatever. We can just drop a couple of models there. Royal Clan Warriors are fine. I honestly probably wouldn't even bother with the standard bearer. Or if you're doing that, go up to 13, so that when you get challenged, like when you challenge out the dragon that charges you, you still have 2 rank bonuses, and you still have the standard and the close order and the infantry outnumber. So you've got like rank, banner, infantry outnumber, close order, 5 static combat res from 13 models. Yeah, that's about as well as it's going to go. I wouldn't even bother with drilled, but I would probably bother with veteran, just because they're more likely to be off on their own a little bit. Yeah, I think I don't love this section here. They're fine, but I think you're just not able to reach out and touch your opponent meaningfully. But I don't know how I would make this list style work, Paul. Even with the infantry scoring, I don't know that makes a difference for how I want to run the Royal Clan. Like, I think it pushes me more towards Grand Army, maybe, because then you can go like Rangers in core. Like maybe you go Rangers in core, a unit of Thunderers in core that just stays still and does like some shooting, so you get some value out of your core, and then you run like a combat brick, but then you're gonna run out of points. I don't know. I like the idea of things working like infantry, non-core infantry scoring. I just feel like dwarves aren't set up to abuse that, unfortunately. Yeah, maybe there is something in Grand Army, but I'd have to dig through. Last but not least, there's Two Hands Exiles list, and there was indeed an essay with this one. I also just got like a notification sound, but of a notification type I don't recognize. Interesting. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so you say you've got a bit of a challenge for me. New Brett player, been building your army through an escalation league. You're reaching the final 2,000 points. You went with the Exiles, so you could supplement the army with units from Empire. Okay, that makes sense. You need to start adding more Bretonians. You're not allowed to change the general from the damsel, even though that's illegal, that's fine. Not allowed to remove any units currently in the list, and you're allowed to add new units. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay, I mean, so the main thing that I would say is the core is like you've spent a lot on core. Bretonians want to spend not as little. Well, honestly, they want to spend as little as possible on core. Their core's very efficient for what they've got. So going to says you can't remove them. Oh, you're allowed to change unit sizes. Okay, so we're going to start off there. We're going to go to, let's just say 12 peasant bowmen with just a unit champ. Wouldn't even bother with a unit champ. Just go skirmishers. And just have like 12 or 14 of them. Let's say 14. That'll free up a few points. And then the wizards. I don't think there's much value to the double wizard in the setup we've got. So let's think about how we tweak that. They're on foot, which makes them a little bit difficult. You could go, I mean, you've got 36 human guards, so maybe you drop down to 35, and then you go with Battle Magic, Lore Familiar, Ruby Ring of Ruin for one. Ruby Ring of Ruin and Lore Familiar. Like, it's not incredibly exciting, but it gives you Fireball, Oaken Shield, Arcane Urgency. Arcane Urgency is really good for Bretonians. Darkos, it's so the way that it goes is if your list was looked at last week, you're not prioritized, and then I prioritize channel members over that. But otherwise, it's just whoever's earlier in the day. So the earlier that you submit your lists after I open up the submission is the way to go. This Outcast Wizard will just drop down to level 1, and then I don't really have strong opinions on what we want them to do. They're more in the list because they have to be. They can provide magic resist 1 to the Peasant Bowman, and then also, I guess, use the Doombolt. It was hard getting up to more points with only the starter box. Sure. So that's why you had... Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so the Baron here. The Frontier Axe is obviously a great build. Ooh. I'm gonna change it from the Royal Pegasus to the Barded Pegasus, which might be a little bit of a pain for you, but I think, unfortunately, the Royal Pegasus is basically unplayable in the current state of the game. Because it doesn't give you very much. It gives you +1 toughness, +1 wound, but you're already only T4 with, 3 wounds. So you're a 4-wound T5 model, but you become Monstrous Creature, so you cap out a 3-up armor save. You also don't have an inbuilt ward, so it's very difficult to do anything useful there. So what you want to do is you want to be on a Barded Pegasus, and you want to be in the unit of Pegasus Knights. You can use the same model and just rebase it onto the smaller base. That would be my recommendation anyway. That's what I've seen people doing. Obviously, things are a little hard to fit, but Pegasus Knights don't fit together nicely anyway. Rebasing is possible. Perfect. Okay, so Frontier Axe, yes, absolutely. Anointed Armor, not worth the points. Yes, it gives you Killing Blow and multiple wounds, which is cool. But you need to have the Grail Vow for it, which I don't think you had. No, you had the Exile's Vow. Because you can't have the Grail Vow on this model, apparently. So you can't actually take the Anointed Armor there. What you want to take is the Syrian's Locket, which gives you the immunity to multiple wounds. So it does the same thing, but cheaper. In the way that you care about. Go for a Charmed Shield as well, just to make sure that you don't get sniped by a cannonball. Then you're going to want to jump this unit of Pegasus Knights up to a bigger unit, and Warbanner's not worth taking. You don't need the combat res on them, you want the killiness, so you're going to take Totem of Wrath. That's the general way to go there. I'm going to change... I know what you said about the general. I'm just going to change it here to get rid of the yellow text on screen. I understand having the damsel as the general is absolutely fine. Taking a lot of notes. Fortunately, it's recorded, so you can just skim back if you need to. Yeah, so general premise, in terms of what you got here. Oh, you've actually got... Oh, you know what? If you're going battle magic, let's just go... Let's put the damsel as the... Actually, you can leave the ruby ring on this model. Take the Lore Familiar off. No, this is fine. This is fine. Damsel's just like an awkward model to include. Like, because you've got 3 wizards in here, this is if I was writing a Bretonian Exiles list, I'm not spending 350 plus points on wizards. I'm going double Baron, Green Knight, Paladin. That's like the optimal setup in my mind. Or like Baron, Green Knight, Paladin, or you could go Baron, like single Baron, Green Knight, Paladin, Outcast Wizard, one of them on a horse, stuff like that. So like 1 wizard is probably about where I'd sit. You can go double wizard. I don't think it's super worth doing. You could also don't have to go Green Knight. You could go like double Baron, Wizard, and Paladin, stuff like that. But it's a little bit hard to fit stuff in with so much into the units there. Our Icon of Canals is fine, and it gives one of the units magic resist, which is good. Can you combine units? So, like, could you take those 2 units of Knights of the Realm and make them one bigger unit of Knights of the Realm? So, like, you go up to a lance like this with a war banner and put the damsel in with them. Like, would that be allowed? Cool. Yeah, that's what I do. I go to like 9 or 10. So what you can do, this is like mediocre, but it's decent in my mind. Because if you go to 10 models plus the damsel, you're a lance that has combat res wise, you've got +1 for being a lance, +1 for a single rank, because you'll have, even after your unit champion dies, you'll still have like a full rank of 10 models. Sorry, a full lance of 10 models. So you've got rank, you've got lance, you've got standard, you've got war banner. So you've got 4 static combat res. You can charge a dragon, challenge them, win combat, double outnumber them because you're 10 models strong after the death, plus with the damsel in there. And her ability to pick like the plus strength and AP spell or the regen spell, depending on the matchup, means that with the magic resist, they're like moderately useful. And also they can go in alongside the Pegasus Knights to just add a little bit more oomph. It's not an exciting amount of oomph, but it's a little bit more oomph. We'll give a second Bombard. Bombards are good. 2 Bombards are more gooder. And then we also want to fit in, realistically in my mind, I'd love to have a second Baron in here. Points-wise, it's difficult, but like the second Baron build that I'd go would just be super cheap and cheerful, Budded Peg, wouldn't bother with a Knightly Virtue at all. We'll go Cackling Blade, we'll go Charmed Shield, and then inside this unit of Pegasus Knights, you're going to be Strength 5, you're going to be AP 2 from the Totem of Wrath, you're going to be rerolling ones to wound, and you'll do quite a lot of damage there. So that's like a really good budget second character, but you haven't got that, so I would say the way to go would be... Oh, we're going to struggle to fit the Paladin in as well. Maybe we have to just drop this down to a level 1 wizard. Not being able to drop characters is very restrictive. So let's just drop that down to both of them just going to be like trying to cast a magic missile for the sake of it, for example. And then the Paladin, that frees up points to go Paladin, Barded Pegasus, Exile's Virtue, 2 Obsidian Lodestones, because obviously Pegasus Knights are ruined by magic missiles. It absolutely makes them the most sad you've ever seen anything be. And then banner-wise, you can go with multiple things. I think if you're playing in just sort of a general take-all-comers style event, Banner of Shalons is quite nice. You can go for the Errantry banner for the +1 strength. I think you don't need it, realistically. You've got like enough punch in there with Totem of Wrath. You just pick your fights, right? You've got 360-degree line of sight, so you don't have to go for the other fights. -1 to hit from Banner of Swirling Wind is quite nice as well. I'd say I like Banner of Swirling Wind the most, depending on what you're going into. If you're playing into like Ushabti or anything like that, just drop it. But if you're not playing into Tomb Kings, I think Swirling Wind is maybe better than Shalons, because you've got to always be out in the open for one turn, where you have to accept that you're going to get shot before you're allowed to charge someone. So that actually leaves us with more points than I thought. If I go up to a level 3 wizard here, and then go Lore Familiar, Ruby Ring, so you can still do the, Arcane Urgency, Oaken Shield, double Fireball on the character that's joining the Human Guard. That only puts us 7 points over, so then we can drop... you could even just drop a couple of Human Guard. It doesn't have to be a perfectly square unit. It's nice to have them, but in terms of balancing points, that would be how I would do that there. But yeah, I think that would be, within the restrictions, probably the best I could go for. If you're interested in playing Brett's sort of afterwards, find the points, like find 200 points here to drop something and, drop some of this stuff, find 200 points. Like even just the Damsel and the Outcast Wizard and put in the Baron with the Cackling Blade, or like find more points and put the Green Knight in, and you'll just get a lot of value from that there. You are welcome. Cool. All right, well, it has been truly one of the streams of all time. Hopefully it was a good time had by all, and